Welcome to the world of October. The NFL's first month is officially done, and nobody expected the results we have received so far. So week 4 was intense. There are more blowouts. There are teams saving face. There are teams absolutely collapsing. So it's time to have a productive conversation on all of that. We have a full house tonight, and Alex Ranelio.
What up, man? Happy to be back.
Bars the God.
Yo, you already know what it is.
Hayden Nadler.
How are you?
And for his debut on the NFL panel is Nicho Nocera. What's on?
How's it going? Looking excited to be here.
All right, let us mesh this diverse group well together, and let's talk about week 4. Now, I genuinely didn't expect to open with this, but because the beating was so significant, it has to start with Monday Night Football. Seattle Seahawks playing the New York Giants. The Seattle Seahawks win by a score of 24-3. The Giants get closer to putting the nail in the coffin of this ugly season that has taken place. A very bad and ugly loss at home. Daniel Jones looks like the old Daniel Jones, and I myself was very, very confident he wouldn't have the season that he is having right now. The fumbles are back, the interceptions are back, bad decision-making, and it is not looking pretty. But at the same time, when you have an offensive line who allows 11 sacks on you and always running for his life, it's hard to really make a fair assessment because he's always running. So, DJ didn't help. The sacks didn't help. And you can argue that the New York Football Giants are the very worst team in the NFL in terms of having a defense who can't tackle, in terms of a offense that will not score. And besides maybe the kicker, there is nothing pretty about what the Giants are going through right now, especially against a Seahawks team that was weak to begin with. So one thing I know people want to discuss is Daniel Jones's play. And I'm on the contrary in saying that I am aware that he is not playing well. In fact, his play is concerning. He gets paid, and he is doing nothing to show that he deserves the paycheck that he's getting. But again, if you have an offensive line that is not protecting you and running for your life, not even Patrick Mahomes can last. So does anybody want to contribute to the Daniel Jones part of this conversation?
Oh, I'll start on this one. I mean, I'm saying this right now loud and clear. You cannot be a Daniel Jones apologist and a Zach Wilson hater. You just can't do it. All right. Daniel Jones has fewer passing touchdowns, more interceptions, a low and a worse pass rating right now through a quarter of a season than Zach Wilson does. Okay, this man is making $160 million. Okay, it is a crazy contract that he's getting. Okay, and to be honest with you, if he doesn't play well this year, Joe Shane's job is going to be on the line, and it should be. He got a ridiculous contract for being mediocre for the first 3 years of his career, and then he had a good year last year and made the playoffs and won a playoff game. All right, that's honestly, to be honest with you, if Daniel Jones is going to get 5 years, what makes you think the Jets aren't going to stick with Zach Wilson for another year? Like, I'm being dead serious on that. Like, Daniel Jones got 5 years to be mediocre as crap. You know what his record is as quarterback right now? His record as a starting quarterback is 21-34, and that man's making $160 million. Like, just absolutely crazy to me. And I'm not saying he's the world's worst quarterback. Obviously, he's going to play better than how he's been playing. But through a quarter of a season, if you would have told me Zach Wilson has a better quarterback rating than Daniel Jones through a quarter of the season, and that man's making $160 million, I would say you need to be locked up in a mental asylum. Like you're out of you're crazy. But I mean, that just goes to show you, like, they're not getting the returns on the investment that they put in for Daniel Jones, and it kind of goes to wonder, is this man Joe Shane really the GM the Giants really need? Because he overpaid for this quarterback who I believe is pretty mediocre. I think he can be great at times, but I think the first couple of years have been a little bit mediocre and left a lot to be desired. That's just me.
I agree somewhat with the mediocrity aspect. I agree. I do think the Giants' problems are far more worse than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, in my opinion, that game versus Minnesota last year in the playoffs and last season, there's a lot of potential. He's running for his life every single play. I do believe the Giants had a lot of success yesterday when Daniel Jones was taking a one-step, two-step drop, getting the ball out right away. And I think they got to continue doing so moving forward. I'm not completely out on Daniel Jones like a lot of people are saying. 11 sacks, someone's in his face every single play. He has his receiving core, Sterling Shepard's not all young, but he's old. Darren Waller only had 2 targets or something last night, which is ridiculous. You got to find a way to get your best playmaker involved. Hyatt as a rookie as well, got to get him more involved in the field. With Saquon coming back out of the backfield as a check down option, letting him get the ball out quick, I do think Daniel Jones could improve. However, for the Giants, doesn't get easier from here. You're going at Miami and at Buffalo in the next 2 weeks. Fortunately for the team as a whole, will be bad, but Daniel Jones, I think, will show signs of life in these 2 games, in my opinion.
It's just, what are we going to say? Like, it's a Daniel Jones problem. Like, sorry. Do you want to go, Bars, or?
Real quick, I just want to touch in. I don't believe that we should just toss Daniel Jones to the wayside, like off rip like that. Like, if you look at the stats, Daniel Jones threw the ball fairly well, minus 2 picks. So you got to look at it and say that the Seahawks defense had a great game.
Bro,
you got to look at it and say that.
You can't say threw it fairly well, minus 2 picks. Come on, bro. We threw a pick 6.
I mean,
they're
minus 2. I mean, yo.
They're going to take a 1-score lead. They're going to make it a 1-score game. Throw a pick 6. That's I like this 5-yard line.
Only had 110 passing yards. Like seriously, like, you have to kind of just give this game to the Seahawks defense. Yeah, Daniel Jones did have his mess ups. I still think he's a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. Come on, man.
Oh, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you're looking at the numbers right now, Zach Wilson has numbers are better than Daniel Jones. That's just a fact. He has a higher.
Who's got a better offensive line?
Better offensive line. The Jets' offensive line isn't good either. Okay, you can't be, like I said, you can't be a Daniel Jones apologist
is running
and a Zach Wilson hater. It is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. I'm gonna.
He's like a
$160 million.
meerkat
You need to up your game.
Just waiting to be pounced on by a hyena.
That's it. If you want to get paid, you have to be amongst the elite in the NFC. You have to compete for San Francisco. You have to compete for Dallas. Not saying it's all versus him, but the fact that the Giants aren't shows how far off they are.
You can yell till your face is blue, but at the end of the day, you need an offensive line.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you're a quarterback that's getting paid that much money, you have to elevate your game. It's not all just on the line and everyone else.
Like a thief in the night.
We've been hearing that for the last 4 years. It's the line. It's the receivers. Eventually, it's got to be Daniel Jones. Like, eventually. It's the same story every year. You can't just keep apologizing for him. Like, I'm sorry. I understand.
They wouldn't have paid him if he wasn't good. That's the way I look at it.
No, that's not fair because they're paying him market money for with the TV contracts requests. They're paying him way too much money.
Listen, I get that though, but
that's not what I'm applying. I actually think he's pretty decent. It's just for what he's getting paid, I don't think he's worth it. That's what
I'll say one thing though. I really think the money thing is the most overrated argument against him. He's getting paid the market value, as Alex alluded to. He's the 13th
He's not getting paid the market value. No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's getting paid for what a second.
He's getting paid
for a second. He's getting a second contract.
He's getting paid a little. He's getting paid more like guys. Isn't he getting paid so much? He's getting paid a lot, quite a lot.
You know that money can be manipulated.
Are there 17 other quarterbacks that should get more money than him?
That cap can be manipulated. It really can. Everybody cheats when it comes to that. That can be changed, but. Again, to put this at a head with this argument, it is hard for any quarterback, whether you're Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, when you're running for your life. I'm sure you could agree with that too, Hayden. I mean, you have to be truly the most special quarterback ever.
I don't.
But
I don't disagree with you on that.
He ain't got no Saquon Barkley to back him up.
I just think
nothing. No pressure. All pressure's on him.
For him, I agree with you on that.
His receiving core is mediocre at best.
I agree with you. His offensive line is bad, but so is Zach Wilson's. And you hear every week how he's the worst quarterback ever. Yet you never hear anything about Daniel Jones, who's played worse. Like it's
but who's he throwing the ball to?
They have the worst. They're playing the most of these second strings out there. It isn't an excuse, but at the end of the day,
their offensive line is bad. Like I'm not disagreeing with you on that, and he does need a better offensive line to improve. That's true. That's true.
And it's just bad timing that this all unfolded with the Shane and Daboll era coming in. And then, they have this miraculous season,
and they still could turn it around. I'm not, putting it past them to turn it around. Like they have Daniel Jones has showed spurts. Like he did come back for verse 28-7 versus Arizona. Like, I'm not
Right.
I'm
saying
calling
he
for
doesn't have
Jones's
potential.
job at week 9 when he's still doing this, and he's got like 50,
Oh no,
like
no,
he's got like 12
no,
interceptions.
it's a product. Like I said, I'm not putting. I put it a lot on Daniel Jones earlier in the argument, but like it does have to do with the fact that his team just isn't that good. Like, their offense is not good. They don't have a great receiving core. They talked all the time about how they were going to get Darren Waller involved, and he's been kind of MIA. Kind of like he's almost been as bad as Dalvin Cook. There's two worst signings in the offseason that have panned out. Dalvin Cook and Darren Waller both happen to belong to the New York teams. So we'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. But Alex, Nico, do you guys have any opinions on that?
No, like I said, I really think I'm a Daniel Jones believer. I am. I do think he will do well. I think when Barkley comes back, like Bars was saying, like when he's gonna have more weapons and more check down options. But I do agree with your initial take. I do think he's way overpaid for his position. I completely agree. I think Daniel Jones, not for his position, but as a person, he's overpaid. But he's converting 75. I think he was 79% last night. In the game, I believe he's throwing a lot of completions.
He's checking down a lot too. I mean, the thing is, he's not gonna stretch the field. He's not gonna be a Mahomes. He's not gonna be a Jalen Hurts. People got to come to terms with the fact that, well, no,
even that I don't agree with you on that. I think he can stretch the field a little bit. He's got a lively arm. I'll say that.
But here's the thing, though. They drafted him in the image, the idea that they were going to get their next Eli. Eli was a stand-in game manager. He would make a big throw here and there occasionally, but he always rode his defense. So if it's about the systems in place, your system has to be fucking spot on. It can't be about like blaming Daniel Jones because you gave him the bag for $40 million a year. I understand it's a lot of money, but the reality is the market dictates that $40 million, and you have to lean on your system to ride this game out, to ride this season out.
I also saw a stat that he had more takeaways since 2019 than he had touchdowns. He has 64 takeaways and I believe 62 touchdowns. That's a pretty alarming stat. He doesn't.
For sure, and that's also a result of some bad coaching throughout the years. But regardless, we do have to move on. It's an ugly Giants loss.
Yep.
They have to win one of these next two games against very difficult opponents. Anything's possible in the NFL. We will ultimately see where that goes. But I do also have to discuss the other New York team as they were a big discussion nationally. The Chiefs defeated the New York Jets by a score of 23-20. Bad officiating throughout was the name of the game. Taylor Swift, we saw her, good stuff, I guess. But the Chiefs were almost asking to get defeated. Mahomes plays his worst game of his career, and they still slide by. But the big takeaway also is that Zach Wilson was very much improved. He was able to get the ball out faster. He was able to make his completions. He had some composure. And as long as he stays consistent throughout, you do not have to discuss replacing him. But Zach Wilson showing strides that he can be a starting quarterback. And I guess the one question I have to ask, do you think Zach Wilson will keep this up?
No, aberration, flash in the pan. Like quick game, that's it. Like, how do you say? This is a
one-hit wonder.
Yes, there we go. Let's do that. They still got the L, and like you said, Patrick. I didn't watch this game. Patrick Mahomes played poorly. I'm looking at the stats. He only completed 18 completions.
The game.
They look like they mainly kind of beat them up on the ground a little bit. But nah, Zach Wilson is. You can't let one good game dictate what like a career bad performance is, as you would say for Daniel Jones, right?
I mean, well, I'll get. Oh, Alex, we're gonna go. Sorry.
Well, I'll be quick. Yeah, I totally disagree. I think this is like, yeah, it's one game, but I think it's one of many if you start seeing some of the inertia build with this Jets team. So we've been kind of shitting on Zach Wilson since he took over from the fourth snap of the season, but the reality is that I'll be the devil's advocate here. I don't think they've really fully invested in him since day one, since they drafted him. And the reason I say that is because not that they haven't put pieces around him, but they haven't fostered the relationship with Saleh and that organization and getting that offense in the right direction. And I think
agree with that.
And I think in the whole offseason, he was hearing nothing but, waiting for Aaron Rodgers to get here or Aaron Rodgers to get here. It was a done deal. They were just waiting for him to get into camp. They still never invested in Zach Wilson. And now you're starting to kind of see what could blossom. I mean, he basically outplayed Mahomes last night. Like the numbers say,
he was the first
quarterback
quarterback since college and the
they
pros
got
to outplay Mahomes.
Yeah, they are ironically got bludgeoned on the ground game, which is kind of the calling card for the Jets defense. And it's also the calling card for what the Jets do on offense. So it's kind of amazing that the narrative's kind of being spun in the opposite direction with Zach Wilson. But I think this is, more of an inkling of what's to come, because they could have easily won that game. And then we would be having a whole different conversation if the Jets beat the Chiefs. But I think if he can compete with Mahomes in a game like this, if they just keep fostering this and building momentum, I wouldn't rule out that they're completely out of this.
I completely agree. I completely.
He's got to restart. He's got to break. He's got to start the recording again.
Yeah, let him record again. Sorry, Nico.
There we go.
I hope
we don't want to lose this crucial footage.
I hope my take didn't get out. That was gold, baby.
I was piggybacking right off it too, because I completely agree. 100% agree with it.
Don't worry. If I disappear, the stream will always live. So you didn't lose anything.
That's what I'm saying.
So we're good.
Just keep going. What you're saying.
Exactly.
Word. So yeah, the piggyback off of Alex, I completely agree. I think Zach Wilson wasn't necessarily given a fair shot. It was all talks right away about him, but I also think this game versus Chiefs is really going to help him moving forward. Next week they're playing against the worst secondary in football in Denver. Denver has arguably, but not arguably, they're the worst defense in football right now.
Yeah.
I really think that's going to help build on his confidence next week. Big game versus the Chiefs on Sunday. If he keeps playing, doesn't turn the ball over, and the Jets defense is just the Jets defense, they're going to win football games. They're going to be a threat. You might be seeing them sneak into a wild card spot. I wouldn't be shocked if Zach Wilson just plays smart football, doesn't turn the ball over. I think this team has a really good shot to make it down the road.
I'll talk a little bit about what I saw from the game, because I was there at the game actually. I have season tickets, but what I saw from what the team was playing, they're finally investing. Like they finally just let him throw. Like you saw a quarterback that I can live with the interceptions. Honestly, I can live with it if they let him sling the ball like they did, like that long pass to Lazard, which wasn't a great throw, but it gave his receiver confidence to go catch the ball, like a back shoulder throw to Uzoma for the touchdown. That throw to Lazard was an absolute dart. Like I can live with the interceptions if you're going to at least let him play. Like they let him play in this game. They called a flea flicker. That was a great play, even though the line couldn't protect him. Lazard was open, probably would have been a touchdown. They did a lot of good things in this game, actually. I will talk about this though. When you have a quarterback that outplays Mahomes, which has never statistically happened in college and the pros, like in terms of three categories, that's actually the first time that's ever happened in his entire career. Like you gotta win that game. Like no excuses. Like the defense, I could say whatever you want about that holding call, which it was a nonsense call. I'm not disagreeing with you, but like you get 2 stops on 3rd and 20. Like you got to get that stop, give him the ball back, give you a chance to win the game, because like he played great in that game. 245, 2 touchdowns, no pick. I will say it's one of the best performances I've ever seen in a career-defining game that probably I've ever seen from a quarterback, considering how extreme the noise was. Like it was just crazy, and that was probably one of the best in-game single game performances from a single game I've ever seen, like all things considered. But that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't do it next week. We're having the same BS story where if the Jets miss the playoffs and they go 5-12, I'm all for fire the manager, GM, and fire the coach. I'll give them a little bit of chance. I'll give them a chance to really hype it up, but I don't want them to sleep on Denver. Like I actually think Denver is a little better than what people are giving them credit. They just beat Chicago. They came back from 28-7 in a game that probably
Chicago.
Their season. They came back for Chicago, Denver. So 28-7.
So Chicago, they choked.
But like that being said, like that game could have saved their season. So the Broncos are looking at the Jets, being like, "Hey, like this is a very winnable game at home." So it's not like I don't think the Jets are a lock. Absolutely not a lock to win this game. Like if I was betting, not based on just like my fandom. If I was betting, I'd probably bet on the Broncos, honestly, in that game at home. Give the points, and I would say take Denver at home with Russell Wilson. Give them time. I actually think it's going to be a close game. So I don't know.
I refuse to say that he outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
He did. Statistically, there was a stat on it. There was a stat. There was a stat on it in Patrick Mahomes and college. He did
5 more catches, 5 more completions. I'm thinking
You
that
didn't
game
even
was
watch
totally
the
different.
game. How could you say that? You didn't watch
This
the
is a
game.
this is a personnel problem. This is more of a personnel problem. This is the worst receiving core Patrick Mahomes has had since he's been a starting quarterback. Legitimately. Like, if he's not throwing to Kelsey, who's he throwing the ball to?
He still has Kadarius Toney. He still has a running back that rushed for 125
God.
yards. He still has a running back that rushed for 125 yards. He has Valdez Scantling.
Yeah, the running back is running for 125 yards. We're not talking about the running
had a very good
We're
game.
talking about the receiving core. We're talking about the personnel right there in the room of the wide receivers. When he ain't got nobody to throw the ball to, ain't nobody catching open, or can't nobody catch, you get incompletions. You're not getting the yardage that you're going to get. You're not going to have statistically your greatest game ever. And it's going to make the other guy look good. That's what I'm saying.
Are you literally making excuses for the world champs?
Like, I mean, they just want to, they just want to,
what?
they just won a Super Bowl. They're 3-1 right now. Like, I understand, like, you think they don't have good personnel,
none of the wide
but, like,
receivers they won
when
with
you have
except
Patrick
Tooney
Mahomes, they could be throwing to me and it wouldn't matter. He's just that good. He makes the players around him that much better. Like, that's Patrick Mahomes.
So why they ain't catching the ball?
They did. He actually threw one wide open to their tight end. Noah Brown, their tight end, went for a whole touchdown. They had a defensive lapse, which by the way, I'm not saying this. I'm saying this as a Jet fan. If you're an elite defense, which they talk, you cannot have these defensive lapses where it feels like every goddamn game they leave the tight end open. Between Pharaoh Brown last week and the other tight end who just caught one from Kansas City that was wide open, their backup tight end who they decided all of a sudden not to cover. They haven't covered a tight end since Namath. Okay, let's be clear on that. It's ridiculous that these lapses keep happening, and they can't happen. Like, you can't start down 17-0 versus Kansas City, even with the great second half you did have. Like, so that's just my personal take. I think it's a very, very good Jet defense. I wouldn't say it's an elite Jet defense.
85 Bears, right? So at the end of the day, the Jets need and Zach Wilson need to have a good game against Denver to prove that it wasn't a fluke. And the Chiefs need to also improve their offensive issues and become more established in there, because it won't be so pretty as the season goes on. And moving on from that, the Buffalo Bills defeated the Miami Dolphins at home by a score of 48-20. It is the Bills' third game in a row where they played stellar offense. Josh Allen looks like he's going to be all right, assuming he could play this way for the rest of the season. The Bills' defense was able to prevent the speedy option Dolphins from scoring a bunch. It was back and forth at first, and then the Bills just ran away with it in the second half. Though the Bills playing well, they did lose Tre'Davious White to an Achilles injury, which is terrible to see. He just came back from another injury. But the Dolphins humbled a little, but I do think they're going to be okay despite this loss. These are the two best These are two of the three best teams in the entire conference, and I think even after this game, that reflects that. Do the Bills keep this momentum up? I'll say against the Giants they should, you would think, but in general, does the Bills keep this momentum up?
I do. I do think Josh Allen stays hot. Stephon Diggs, also a big game. I also think Stephon Diggs in this whole offense, they're going to move forward. They're just going to get better. As long as Josh Allen, another quarterback, doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to win a lot of football games, be a favorite, have a very good chance to have a first-round bye at the end of the year. One thing I say, speaking about Miami, Miami's, I think, is going to be fine too. It's a tough Buffalo team. In the NFL, these games happen. Miami should. You're 3-0 start the year. You lost the game, tough loss, but you got to move on. You do have a big loss, though. The big story in that game to me was Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White going down is just an absolute killer. Arguably the top 3 cornerback in all of football. And it's just sad to see an injury like that for such an impactful player, especially with a team that is one of the favorites to make it and win it all.
Who wants to go?
You can go, Alex. I've been talking a lot. Sorry about that.
No, you guys are good. I was kind of feeding off of your guys' preemptive take. I thought this was, I mean, it was competitive in the first half, but I thought this was just an absolute statement game for Buffalo. I thought that, we all kind of got ahead of our skis, started drinking the Kool-Aid with Miami, and I was kind of leading the bandwagon on that because I think that their offense is still that lethal, but they got humbled in this game, and they're going to be the top 2 dogs in the AFC East down the stretch of the season. But if you really look at it, break it down, a lot of the stats are comparable, but it's just so many penalty yards and cataclysmic mistakes in the second half with the way that Miami was with the way Buffalo was drawing penalties on the receivers. And I think that you're going to see some of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis take advantage of some of that secondary for Miami until Jalen Ramsey comes back. But I just thought that this was like an unbelievable second half on the side of sorry, what's his name? Shit, the coach for Buffalo. Sorry,
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking McDaniel. Sean McDermott. Sorry about that. And I just thought like his coaching staff really like stepped up and really brought the heat in the second half and really dialed things up. And I thought that it was just unbelievable performance, really, just when you look at the second half stats.
Absolutely. Like even like say like going something else I want to add to that too. Josh Allen, man. Even last year, if he can even in the run in the playoffs for Cincinnati had a piss poor game in that elimination game. I just really, really can't believe that this team is so talented and they just seem to not win a big game. And I think winning this game was a big statement for them moving forward. It's definitely going to help them out. Like you beat arguably the other juggernaut besides the Chiefs in the AFC. It really makes you think Josh Allen's legit, as everyone thought he was, but he's going to continue to do this week in and week out. They have a favorable schedule coming up. I really do think the Bills go on a roll after this.
I mean,
I agree with that.
Oh, sorry.
I agree with that. But I still say don't count the Dolphins out just yet. These probably are going to be like the two teams to like watch on like, when it comes down to like the playoffs, like who's going to take Mahomes out. It's probably going to be one of these two teams this year, to be honest. So it was a good overall game. The Bills turned up like you would expect them to. I think people got kind of carried away with the Dolphins 70 bomb. I wasn't in last week's show, so I couldn't really talk on that. The Dolphins do have a very explosive offense. They got a great running back. Achme, is that how you say his name?
Devin Achane. And then they got Raheem Mostert.
Achane. That's how you say his name? Yeah. He's really good. I think he pulled off like two more touchdowns in that game. They just had Buffalo had a lot of pivotal, crucial turnovers. That swung the game swung the momentum of the game in their favor. Overall, great game. Josh Allen, like you said, really turned it around from like that first year, even that second year. Like, and I think that he's going to make a great climb up. Like, he's eventually going to win one. That's what I feel about Josh Allen. I feel like he's definitely eventually going to win one. So yeah, just watch out for him next week. I feel he's gonna have a not such a high scoring game, but I think it's gonna be even more impactful to watch.
I mean, Buffalo really this game was basically just to establish who's still the beast of the East. I mean, Buffalo's won the crown the last couple of years. So this is kind of just determining we're still the beast of the East. Like we're still that top dog in the East. It's gonna be a good division. It's gonna be a good battle. I think having a divisional win this early in the season is very pivotal for Buffalo over Miami, but they're going to play again. They're going to play again at Miami, and obviously the conditions are going to be a little different. Miami's going to be at home, so we'll see. I mean, they're both going to be pretty good by the end of the year. I expect both of them to be in the playoff hunt, or at least in the playoff hunt. I think both of them should make the playoffs. But that being said, crazier things have happened. So we'll see. We'll see. For some reason, the only team that's been able to crack Buffalo's code is the Jets. I don't know why. But I don't really understand that. But the Jets turn over Josh Allen at an alarming rate. So we'll see.
First game straight.
Should be a good end of the year run between those two teams for the AFC East, and hopefully the Jets can get back into it. So,
all right, let's move on. The Eagles played the Commanders, and speaking of division matchups, and we got a back and forth battle between these two franchises. The Eagles took the win in overtime, but Jalen Hurts looking really good. The Commanders also showing they have promise, and even this game might show that the Eagles could be very weak in the secondary, as we saw the weapons taking advantage of that, like Terry McLaurin and stuff. the Commanders making a push. There was even a chance where they could have won the game. As time was running out, Ron Rivera decided to kick it in, and that was due to offensive fatigue for whatever reason. But the Eagles win. It definitely might have not. It could have gone either way. I want to focus on Washington in this game. Do you guys really like what Washington gave you and Sam Howell being cool, calm, and collective under the pressure? And maybe they could be a sneaky team moving forward. We'll definitely know how the Eagles are. But Washington put up a fight.
Oh, this is a disappointing win for the Eagles in my book. Very disappointing win. And like you said, they exposed something in that secondary. They did lose a couple pieces. This is true in that secondary. But this is a very disappointing win for the Eagles. I do like what I see from the Commanders. Getting Chase Young back shows you that, there's still something to reckon with. Like Sam Howell, like you said, very composed, threw a touchdown. They also got 2 on the ground. So that's pretty big. Scary Terry took many advantages. Don't sleep on Washington. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
I agree with the take about Washington. Definitely a legit team. Don't sleep on them. I really think they're a sneaky good team. They're going to be in every single game, minus last week versus Buffalo. But I do think they're going to compete with a lot of teams in battle. I do disagree with you saying about it's a sad win for the Eagles. Any division win is a massive, massive win. I will say about I will say with Washington, Washington is the past couple of years has always been the Eagles' kryptonite. As good as the Eagles been, every single time Washington has played them, it's been competitive. Washington beat them last year when the Eagles might have been undefeated at the time on Monday Night Football in Philadelphia. Washington always plays against the Eagles. So hats off to the Eagles. They'll pull this game off. Granted, did you want to win by more? Did you want to handle it easily? Absolutely. But it doesn't matter.
A win is hard to come by in the NFL.
A win's hard, especially in the division.
I mean, your top two receivers are going for a combined over 200 yards, going for 240 or something like that. I'm expecting I'm not expecting an overtime win. I know it's a divisional game, but I'm talking and they did beat them last year. So maybe, it's going to be rough, but I don't know. For making it to the Super Bowl last year, I expected just a little bit more fight from a high-powered offense like the Eagles.
I agree with you saying it's a scrappy game. Two teams like that, there's a lot of talking, a lot of trash talking. Bullshit penalty, by the way, on A.J. Brown at the end of the game there. I disagree with it because there's so much fight in a game like that. There's so much emotion. There's so much back and forth. There's so much talking shit.
That was a good win for Philly.
What's up with the officials? What's up with the officials, bro?
It's bad.
We need to have a segment just on the officials, man.
Yeah, officials.
What else is there to talk about there? They do the same stuff every year. We done officials talk. Definitely right, but the NFL's not going to do anything differently. They're just going to roll with it until we have a what was the disgraced NBA ref?
Tim Donaghy.
Until we have a Tim Donaghy situation where he gets blatantly caught like that. Right.
I mean,
legend.
Absolutely. I guess I'll add some comments on that game.
I say real quick, Hayden. I say they give him the old longest yard treatment. A couple pigskins to the coin purse get you start officiating properly.
I'll give a couple of comments on the game per se. If you're going to be a great team, you got to find a way to win close games, and the Eagles won a close game versus a divisional opponent. I think that's a good win in my book. And that being said, you're going to see when they have all their battle tested and they can win these games like they did last year, these close games, they're going to be a 13 win team again because they can win the close games. And they're going to be at the top of the NFC because they've shown year in and year out that they can win. I mean, not year in and year. I mean, last year was the first year they made the Super Bowl, and then they meant to the playoffs before that. But this is a team under Nick Sirianni that believes in its quarterback. They believe in their team. And I mean, I think they're going to lose some games that maybe people are going to be a little bit perplexed about, but that's pretty much any team in the NFL. Like last year, the Chiefs lost to the Colts. So every year teams lose to teams that maybe they're not expecting to lose to, and teams win games they shouldn't. So, I'm not going to put too much stock into any games they really lose. I'm just going to kind of look at. I think they're going to be like a 12 or 13 win team at the end of the year. Would you guys agree they're going to be one of the top teams in the NFC?
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Definitely.
The Lions won on Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers by a score of 34-20. Jared Goff looks really good. The Lions defense looks lethal. And though Jordan Love wasn't able to will them to victory at home, you still at least are happy with what they got cooking over there. The Lions, are we all going to say that this is going to be a top team in the NFC? Is this the game where you feel that way?
Absolutely.
Still stand by it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, guy. You go.
Yeah, I think Lions are an unbelievable team. I think they're one of the most well-coached teams in the league as well. You want to play for that coach 10 out of 10 times. I'm watching the games at my house. I want to go out there and play. But he's unbelievable. That team's unbelievable from top to bottom. One big question mark that I have, though, is Jahmyr Gibbs. You drafted that running back in the second round. You're not feeding them. I think they're just winning now when they're winning games. I think they're going to get even more lethal when they get Gibbs involved, run more packages, get familiar with this young team, get Jared Goff to show some leadership out there. They're going to keep winning, keep getting better every single week. As for the Packers, I do think it's tough. You're going to a new era with Jordan Love. You're going to have games like this. You're going to have games that division games that you used to win at home. It was a coming into Lambeau. You're going to have games that like this that happen. You just got to learn from it and manage and keep getting better every single week.
I like what I see from Jordan Love. Like it makes me have some faith that this Packers team can still they probably won't be like in the playoffs this year, but it gives me faith that a couple pieces behind them, a little bit more good coaching, and Jordan Love is actually going to be the guy over there in Green Bay. For the Lions, speak on the Lions, man, I said it. Sleeper team. I said it. I'm going to stick with them to be that sleeper team. Ain't nobody had over 100 yards receiving yesterday. It was just a very well-ran game, like I said yesterday. It was just a well-ran game. David Montgomery had 121 yards on the ground. Like, Gibbs didn't get it much, but, like, he got, 8 touches, 40 yards. Like you said, I agree with you. If he gets in there, it's going to be a problem. I only think they're going to explode more from here. Matt touched on that defense. That defense was really good, man. They got 2 picks. Pressures, come on, like that Lions team, solid sleeper over there in the NFC, man. I think people are not giving them the credit. Jared Goff is he was over there at the Rams, then he got traded. The Rams won a Super Bowl right after he got traded, so everyone's looking at Jared Goff like, is he really the guy?
Yeah, Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams. Like, Jared Goff was a great guy.
That is true. Sorry, he did go there, but he didn't win it. Yeah, and they didn't even trust him.
He was productive with the Rams, though. He was a good quarterback.
He was, and I think he was at one point the youngest, 10K, wasn't he, or some shit like that?
He was some numbers. He was up there.
He's had his mistakes, but I feel like Jared Goff is still actually a perfect fit for quarterback over there in Detroit. Yeah, so I say watch that team. They're probably going to sneakily knock someone out in the playoffs and probably end up in the NFC Championship.
I mean, I guess I'll give my take on the game. I mean, it was a good effort from Detroit. I mean, they're trying to cement themselves as the team that really is expected to take the throne in the NFC North. Last year they won, I believe, I want to say it was 6 out of their last 8 games to finish the season 9-8. They're coming off a really great end of the year, so they wanted to build in that momentum this year. Credit to their GM Brad Holmes, who's done a great job since he's been the GM at really building the roster. They've really done a great job. But don't count out Green Bay. I think don't count out Green Bay to contend for a playoff spot too, because whoever wins that division is the second wild card. There's only I'm looking at the playoff. I'm looking. I know Jordan Love's pretty good. I like him, but I'm looking at the playoff picture in the NFC. You got Philly or Dallas is going to win that division, and then the second team is going to be the wild card there. You got Detroit, who's I would say Detroit probably will win it. But that being said, you don't think they can't contend for that third wild card spot? The 3 wild cards, in my opinion, are going to be Seattle. I think is going to get one of them. I think Dallas is going to get one of them, and you're telling me they can't compete with the Rams, the Saints, the Falcons. They could compete for that third spot, or the Commanders.
Oh,
not with
yeah.
those teams.
I don't agree with you on that. I think they could compete for sure with Jordan Love at quarterback. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know what your take on that is, Alex.
The whole preseason show, we were saying how the NFC is dog shit outside of San Fran and Philly. So I think that they could easily get that 7th spot, if not maybe the 6th behind Dallas. But I do. I'm starting to kind of rescind my take on Jordan Love. I thought that he was kind of the organization was kind of hiding him amidst all the controversy with letting Aaron Rodgers go, and I thought it was because they knew that they whiffed on him. But again, similar but parallel to Zach Wilson, if you put an ounce of maturity and you develop guys, and it just takes time and these things happen. But he did show promise towards the end of this game, even when the game was out of hands. And I think that 500 going into week 5 is better than you can have hoped for.
You got to feel pretty good about him as your quarterback.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
you got to feel pretty good. Like, yeah, I'm not saying you're like rock sold, but like he hasn't come out and been like CJ Stroud coming out of the gate, but like he's been pretty good, honestly, for a rookie. Well, or not a rookie, for his first time really playing in an extended season.
Absolutely. I mean, they were down 27-3 at half, and it looked like they were dead to right. But they did outscore in the second half. And they pushed back. But again, we're burying the lead here. I think that Detroit is the toast of this division. Going into this, I thought that they were the 3rd best team behind Philly and San Francisco.
Yeah, you could argue that.
Even better than Dallas, because I think there's still a lot of questions with Dallas. But I'm just, as the weeks progress, I'm more impressed with the leadership from the coaching staff with Dan Campbell, but how all these guys play for each other. They're so young and exciting to watch. And, and the other side of that too, it's blunt force trauma. So you're going to have penalty yards. You're going to have miscues, mistakes, false starts, but they're exceptional on 3rd down. They play for each other. They almost doubled them up on 1st downs total for the game.
Yeah, I mean,
so they dominated the clock. They won time possession by 15 minutes. So I think that's the most telling. And again, Jared Goff, like if he can just iron out his miscues and just be a little bit beyond a game manager, they can really go places with this team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're playing Detroit 12:30, one of the second to last week of the season. So should be a great game.
Indeed, gentlemen. So let's talk about the first.
Alex is playing Detroit. I mean, that's what I meant to say.
Let's talk about the first London game of this year, and that will be the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And Jacksonville gets the victory 23-7 in the Toy Story game, which was cool. Very, very cool. Nice stuff. Good job, technology. Disney's doing something right. But focusing on the game itself, Jacksonville gets back on track. Trevor Lawrence has a good game. Calvin Ridley shows what happens when you are missing him for a year. Good stuff there. And obviously the Jacksonville defense was stellar. And Atlanta seeming to take steps backwards. Desmond Riddler is still struggling. Kyle Pitts is not being used. And it seems the team wasn't happy on the sidelines arguing with each other. But at least Bijan is fun to watch. Atlanta, a sinking ship. Am I right, guys?
Absolutely. I definitely.
God.
You go. No, I'll tell you.
I mean, I don't know if they're a sinking ship yet. I want to say it's a little early to say that, but Ritter did not have a good game. Or you could say the Jacksonville defense ran wild, but like I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't want to give up on them just yet. But Jaguars, man, Trevor Lawrence looked great. He had like one crazy big run on them. So if anything, I feel like the glaring discrepancy for like the Falcons is definitely on defense, man. Like they did pick up a couple pieces, but I still think like they need a bit more. Like they had like Calvin Ridley caught like a pass where he was just like turned around in the end zone, like was just like mine. Like you got to fix your secondary a bit. You gotta tighten up. Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I'm not
You
going to
go.
give up, but no, actually, you can go. You first. So sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Well, yeah, no, it's not that I want to give up hope necessarily. I just think this team's not going anywhere. Can they maybe compete in a weak division? Absolutely. You might sneak in at like a 9-8, 8-9 type deal towards the end of the year. Bijan is a great athlete. You guys got to get him the ball what you can, but I just don't like this offense at all. Kyle Pitts has been awful. And everyone's saying he's just not getting targets. He's not getting open. He's just not doing anything to get open down the field. He's just everyone's complaining about him. Ritter, I think stinks. Arguably one of the worst quarterbacks in my opinion. I like Zach Wilson over him. Just throw you a bone, Hayden. I do like Zach Wilson over Ritter, but
All right, I'm not going to go that far, but yeah.
I think Drake London stinks in my opinion as well. I just think this team is not where they need to be. But hats off to Jacksonville. Great game. Trevor Lawrence, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. Calvin Ridley was nice to see on his former team. Scored the opening touchdown of the game. Always good to see something like that. But Atlanta, I just they're not it for me. Not sold on the team. I think Matt's right. I am definitely they're a sinking ship, and I'm jumping off.
I mean, the problem with Atlanta is that you need a very, very specific like game plan to win with them because like they have a very weak quarterback. Desmond Ritter is like, I don't want to say not that guy, but he has not really shown anything really. They're gonna have to be a run first team with Bijan, and they're gonna have to have games where they just really run the ball like crazy, like they did versus first two games when they beat Green Bay and when they beat Carolina. The only thing I will say about Atlanta is that the NFC South, like I said, I've mentioned before, is pretty weak, and their schedule coming up is pretty favorable. You get like the Houston Texans, who are actually a pretty good team with C.J. Stroud, so I don't want to but theoretically, in theory, to win a game with a rookie quarterback, you get Washington, Tampa, Tennessee, Vikings, Arizona, the Saints. There's a lot of winnable games there, but I'm telling you right now, you could say this, you could put this on here right now. They should be the team that's going after Kirk Cousins if they really are serious about winning the division. Be the team that's really trying for him because that Kirk Cousins will put them as the best team in the NFC South, in my opinion.
Great take.
And if they want to win,
agree.
if they want to win this year, that's who they should be going after, or like that's my take on that. Even more so than the Jets.
So I mean, I'll be the devil's advocate for Atlanta because I've kind of taken some responsibility for sticking up for Arthur Smith and some of this, the GM and whatnot. I just think that this early in the year, it's too soon for anybody to sell your stock on, except for like maybe one or two teams. I think that at 500, especially for a rebuild, you're only looking for like, an 8-9 win team, 10 win absolute max, especially in a weak division like the NFC South. I think that, a game in Jacksonville, in London for Jacksonville is basically home away from home. So it's basically, it's not a neutral zone. You're flying. You have the flight delays and all that stuff, and you're playing away from home. And it's very difficult to get some of those young guys prepared and ready for a game like that. I still think that Jacksonville is far better than what their record supposes because it's early in the season, and I think that they just kind of dominated things top to bottom. I think that when you see a lot of that internal strife with an organization that's young on the sideline, it's them ironing things out in public. It's kind of actually what I like to see because you see about a lot of teams that do that, and usually things go upward from there. Like usually they're working through some shit when it comes to like difficulties on offense, difficulties on defense, special teams, miscommunications. It doesn't matter. Usually it's a good sign of growth, and I think that's where this young team is kind of at this moment.
You're not wrong, Alex. You're not wrong. So why don't we talk about Kirk Cousins and this team? They won by the score of 21-13 over the Carolina Panthers. They had a very rough start. Another 99-yard pick six Kirk Cousins gave up. But as long as you have Justin Jefferson, anything is possible on offense. They were able to get their act together, get this win, and Vikings will at least not be a winless team this year. The Panthers are rebuilding. I know Bryce Young came back. They are allegedly looking for a veteran receiver, so good luck with finding that. But focusing on, there's the only thing to really hear is with the Vikings trying to figure out where they are between a rock and a hard place. Is it time to tank? Do we go for it? I mean, you talked about, we have to really think what realistically, if you're the GM of the Vikings, what realistically are you going to do at this point? Because it definitely looked at some points you were about to lose to the Panthers, and that would have been really bad for your fan base. The Chiefs are coming in next week. What are you doing now, early October, if you are the Minnesota Vikings?
I'll touch upon that a little bit. I mean, also, like, I think the record's kind of deceived at 1-3. Like, they've lost 3 games by 1 score to the Chargers, Buccaneers, and the Eagles, who are all pretty good teams right now. And then they play the Chiefs. So the schedule's been tough. I mean, but you're not really measured based on the schedule. You're just based on, with the NFL, the schedule doesn't mean anything. It's, so it's hard to say because I think next week they could easily go in and beat Kansas City. Like they could
You
easily,
really
based on how
do.
they've been playing. Yeah, I actually do.
And it is at
Kansas City.
They're coming
Kansas
to
City's
Minnesota.
Kansas City's a little bit of a weak team. They struggle a little bit. Like I think that's a winnable game for Minnesota at home. Like maybe I'm crazy, but with Kirk Cousins throwing the way he's doing, and then you got let's say you win that game. Let's say you win that game and you're 2-3. Then you play Chicago, get to 3-3. It's a whole different story. So, I mean, I think they're gonna have to wait a little bit. Like they're gonna keep Kirk Cousins right now. They're gonna give it probably I'd say about 3 weeks. If they got the Chiefs, the Bears, and the 49ers coming up. So those are, besides the Bears, like 2 pretty good teams. And then you play the Packers. So it's like it really depends on the division too. Like I think Detroit may lose a game or 2 here and there. So it's like they may be within a game or 2. So it's like it really depends on where they are in the standings. Like they're not going to cut bait with Kirk Cousins at like 3-4. They're just not going to do that. In the NFC North, you're going to be. I think that the leader in the NFC North at 3-4 is going to be like, I don't know, like 4-4 or 5-3. So you're going to be right in it in the mix. So like really depends on how many games they win. Like if you think that you could still win the division, and you think that maybe Detroit is maybe not as good as everyone thinks it seems, and you have a young quarterback in Green Bay, it's not plausible to see that's going to be a pretty weak division this year. Like I don't know if I'm wrong on that. But I think that division is one of the weaker divisions in football. So it really depends on how they view the division. I wouldn't trade Kirk Cousins now. You got to wait until the trade deadline. So give it to week.
The trade deadline is week 8. Halloween this year is the very day at 4 p.m.
Last year I want to say they went like 10-1 in 1-score games last year, and now they're like 0-3. So it's like you figured that was going to happen.
Yeah. But, Yeah, absolutely. And what you said too, like the first possession game thing. Last year they had so many first possession games and they won.
Yeah, they were 10-1, I think, last year in 1 possession games. I want to say that.
Yeah, it was like, and this year not the same story. I think we find out everything we need to know about the Minnesota Vikings over these next 3 weeks. You have Super Bowl champs, arguably the best team in football, coming to your place next week. Then you play a game at Chicago. Then the week after that, you got San Francisco, who, in my opinion, is the best team in all football. And
San Francisco, I would say is miles better than Kansas City. But that's
unbelievable.
I would say Philly's better than them right now too. But that's just
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, no, I think you learn a lot with Minnesota. If they can win 2 out of 3 in this stretch, you have to win Chicago. But if you can win 2 out of 3, you're going to be right in the mix, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Coming that time in a couple weeks, and it's definitely possible that they can go on and make a run at that division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a weak division this year. They might want to say like, their new GM might want to say, we're still going for it. So it really depends. Like I think Detroit's going to slide off a little bit. Like they, so we'll see. What do you guys think on that?
Well, I vehemently disagree with that. Detroit's going nowhere, but Minnesota, we talked about how the bottom of the latter half of
they play the Panthers next
of the NFC is dog shit. So I think Minnesota could have an uptick. They could get back to their winning ways. I see them more as the median, somewhere around 8-9 or 9-8. I think last year was an aberration because, like you guys mentioned, all those 1-score games. And I think that, teams just fall out of luck like that, but there's still plenty of talent on this team to go around. It's amazing that you could win the game with 21 minutes of the ball when Carolina had the ball for 38 minutes. It's just unbelievable. And what's crazy is they didn't even dominate the run game either. Like this game was obviously unwatchable to the average fan, but
But everything is going to be okay. Am I right?
But Carolina barely held on to the ball as well. Yes, that's right.
I love it, Alex.
So
I love it.
I don't have much of a take on it, but I don't think we should implode just yet. Like Nicho said, let's see what these next 3 weeks bring us, and then let's have a conversation on it then. But I don't think we should implode just yet. They still did win the game. They had a rough start. They did beat a rookie quarterback, but a win is a win, right? So we'll see what's up.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
All right, moving on. We have an overtime battle, another one that took place. The Rams defeated the Indianapolis Colts by score 29-23. Now, the Rams almost blew that lead. They were up 23 points at one time, and Matt Stafford looked banged up, but they were able to hold it long enough for them to get the victory. And we continue to see the rise of Puka Nacua, who is turning into the stud of a receiver he is. This rookie is so much fun to watch. He is arguably the best rookie receiver to ever come out of his first 4 games, and he gets a walk-off touchdown in this game. And pretty good stuff for the stud muffin in that guy. The Rams, I think, are looking pretty good. Anthony Richardson, I think, will be fine too. Colts figuring out their way. But as long as Matt Stafford is healthy, Cooper Kupp is returning. I want you guys to discuss the Los Angeles Rams and see if they have any potential moving forward in the NFC West.
To be honest, I didn't have the Rams on my radar, but Puka's got me reconsidering them over there. Like he's like Hayden said, they could pull up a wild card seed or whatever. So I'm not gonna sit here and count them out anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think they would make the playoffs. But the way Puka's playing, Kupp is expected to be back. I want to say real soon. So once that happens, you got a crazy dual threat. And then I don't know. Matthew Stafford is starting to fight those non-believers and actually playing like a really decent, really good quarterback, game managing, going out there winning games for his team. So all I can really
still
say
got
is
it. He still got
Anthony
it.
Richardson. Yeah, that's all I can really say. And I think he's like what's left of the old guard of quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
His generation
but,
for sure. It's only him
Richardson
and Rodgers
didn't
left.
have. Yeah, right. Richardson didn't have the greatest game, but they still was able to push it to overtime. So that team's still young. They're building. They really got to pay Jonathan Taylor, man. I don't know. I feel like Taylor in that game changes the dynamic of it by too much. But it's a solid win for the Rams. Puka, stud muffin. Shit.
Yeah,
that might have to be Matt. You might have to coin that as his nickname.
The stud Samoan.
I'll talk a little bit about
BYU of all places.
I mean, the Rams are getting Kyren Williams to really run the ball. Matt Stafford looks good. Like you said, you got a 1-2 punch and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, so that's looking pretty good. Still got Aaron. Well, sorry. Yeah, sorry, it's my dad.
Yeah, no, I think the Rams are going to improve. Obviously, with Cooper Kupp coming back, the chemistry Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp have is unbelievable. And now he has that same chemistry with Puka. You got Tutu Atwell as a third, Higbee on tight end. This team has a good chance to compete for a wild card. I don't think they're going to outlast San Francisco for the division, but you have 2 games with Arizona. You definitely could make a nice little run at this. And possibly get in a wild card. And you never know. If you get in, you just got to make it to the dance. You never know what can happen once you get there.
I mean,
can I just add in real quick?
Yes,
Williams ground game, he had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. They don't need to do that every game, but they need to. I feel like over the years, the Rams' run game is weighing down. Now, if they can sustain this run, I don't know. You might actually have to really monitor them.
And I don't think anyone's talking about it. Alex, I'm gonna after I'm done, I'm gonna let you speak a little bit about this. Anthony Richardson looks pretty good. He's got a lot of poise, got a lot of moxie, can really run the ball. I've been pretty impressed with Anthony Richardson. I've been pretty impressed with this quarterback class in general through the first couple of games. Anthony Richardson's definitely got some moxie and poise. He's a lot better. a lot better than I thought he would be actually coming out. He's not as raw as I quite thought he would be. His pocket presence and ability to get out of it and really throwing the run have actually been pretty good actually. So, and which was a lot of the concerns coming out of college for him, that he didn't have enough experience and he wasn't a great passer. But he's definitely a dynamic playmaker. And going off what you said about Jonathan Taylor, like, the guy's holding out, but he's not going to find a better situation somewhere else. You got a pretty good defense in Indianapolis. You got a winnable division. You got a quarterback who's young and dynamic. You pair him with Jonathan Taylor, it'd be a great combo. Like, the fact that he's holding out for a better situation it's just stupid. Like, if he's for money, that's fine. He's not holding out for a better situation, he's holding out for more money. But, like, he's not getting a better situation somewhere else if he wants to go somewhere else.
Yeah, these running backs never win out, unfortunately, and they get paid what their position is. It's like, the reality is he's still presiding over the best situation possible in Indianapolis. And I thought we were saying, when Phillip Rivers was there and then leading up to Matt Ryan, even though Matt Ryan self-destructed, it's like they were always, in my opinion, at least in that wide open division, 1 or 2 pieces away. And I still think that roster is good enough.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that the roster's, good enough to compete top to bottom. So if you just add that explosiveness off the line with Jonathan Taylor, there's no reason that can't help Richardson. I mean, he's been overwhelmingly very poised, like you said, in the pocket. He's been very good in performance thus far through 4 weeks. But just getting back to the Rams before we move on, like, I did see this coming. I thought that McVay would have this team on the right track coming out of a tough last year when they were injury ridden. Matt Stafford's, he's still going to be himself. He's going to make a mistake here and there, but he's a good quarterback, competent quarterback. And I just think as the season progresses, you're going to see more of that gamesmanship with McVay and that coaching staff, and they're going to really maximize what they have on that roster comparatively across the field. I see them easily being a wild card.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's easy to see them compete. I don't know about easily getting that spot because there's like 4 or 5 teams that could compete. But yeah, they could definitely easily get that. It's not without the question, for sure.
All right, let's continue with the Houston Texans destroying the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 30-6 at home. CJ Stroud looks like a franchise quarterback, cool, calm, and collective, still hasn't thrown a pick yet. Man, that guy is a lot of fun to watch, and good for him. The Steelers, it was said by Mike Tomlin, they are seeking changes after an embarrassing loss like that. Matt Canada has turned into a public enemy of all Steelers fans, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. Not only is he making questionable play calls, and not only is he not leading that team to victory, but it was recently revealed that he may have created a burner account on Twitter to help defend his takes. And people were able to figure that out because the email of the burner account is his alleged work email. So pretty embarrassing stuff from Pittsburgh right now. So also Kenny Pickett might be hurt as well, but it seems like the Steelers are in some trouble. And can the great Mike Tomlin get them out of this rut? They were about to go under 500 for the first time in his regime last year. He was able to save that. And of course, it's still early, but it's Mike Tomlin cleaning up the mess that is taking place in Pittsburgh right now. And what do you do with Matt Canada?
You fire him. You get rid of him ASAP. You call him right now and you tell him he's gone. Yeah, you have to get rid of Matt Canada immediately with that team.
Especially with the burner account, you can actually prove that there's some cause there.
Yeah, you take him out back and yeller him.
Yeah, just the play calling. Just get him out of there. I was calling for a step last year. I was really surprised they brought him back this year, as I didn't even think he deserved that. But one thing I will say, and I get a lot of hate for this take. The one good thing for this team, obviously, is to get rid of Matt Canada. Another good thing is Mitchell Trubisky. I think Mitchell Trubisky is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, and I think we're going to see that in the next coming weeks. I love Mitchell Trubisky back in the Bears in about 2018, 2019. I don't think he got the credit he did playing for Matt Nagy. Unfortunately, he's playing for Matt Canada, who's arguably worse. But I think Mike Tomlin's going to call some plays. They're going to do some different stuff that Matt Canada is not going to have nearly as much control. But on the other end of things, shout out to CJ Stroud, balling out. I still have no idea what to think of this Houston teams. I don't understand them at all. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. Just CJ Stroud's playing, not turning the ball over. And sometimes that's all you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, the Parker. You can go, Rush.
I'll say that it was a bad beat. Kenny's passer rate, Kenny's passing it to his completions weren't that bad. He only had 8 passes that he didn't complete. He didn't throw any touchdowns and he had an interception. But from watching that game, I will say that CJ Stroud outplayed the fuck out of him, like legitimately. And if you watch that film, because I watched a couple of films before we got in here, one of the films on the film, you could really basically see he's getting that ball out really fast, like, but accurate, fast and accurate. He seems very poised. A lot of the stuff that they were saying would translate to the NFL or or wouldn't translate from college to the NFL. He's actually doing a pretty damn good job. His win yesterday really opened my eyes to like really watching his team more. And on top of that, I want to say that Kendrick Green, a former Steeler, was balling. He was fucking balling. And does that go to say Matt Canada's trash? Definitely. I believe that. And I watch a lot of Steelers training camp. James Daniels said that in the Matt Canada system, they gotta like learn a whole new way to block. It kind of throws them off, and they gotta relearn shit. Matt Canada is not good. 114 yards passing is not acceptable. People are coming at Kenny. Kenny does look like a deer in headlights at sometimes. I won't lie, but when he does go through his progressions and he makes his good reads, there's good plays that come from it. I finally saw Darnell Washington catch a fucking pass. He went for 10 yards on that one pass, one catch, 10 yards. That he's a big man, like 6'7", 6'8", huge. Like, make use of that. His blocking is great. Nick Herbig was in it. Was it one of the offensive Herbig? I think it was Nate Herbig. He was in the game. He looked pretty good. Mason Cole is our weakest link on offense, legitimately. We got the personnel to move around to fix this offensive line. Defense, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Like, Patrick Peterson is, I was hyping him up in the beginning, like preseason and shit. Y'all told me now he's looking like a 30-something year old quarterback. Joey Porter Jr. needs to get in the game more. We can't stop the run.
Yeah.
To save a life. Like, it's just like,
yeah,
the shit. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith were non-existent, but you can't expect these dudes. Well, not non-existent. Alex Highsmith had a really good pressure, but CJ Stroud got that ball off too fucking quick. He was really poised under a pretty good rush. Like, Atlanta Roberts almost got up to him one time. He got that ball off. And these little quick screens or these little quick dink and dunks, they're going for a couple of yards. Collins had a phenomenal game on our secondary yesterday. Yes, I keep saying yesterday. Phenomenal. So it's just like, what do we do? Like, honestly. So get rid of Canada, take him out back, lock the door, don't let him back in. Whatever you got to do, like take him out to the wayside, the pasture, wherever. Canada is not it. I would literally take Nagy right now, bro. I'll take anybody, bro. Like, come on, like.
So I think that what this boils down for me too is like, obviously, like, this is a meaningless game in October, but I think I think the question is like, how bad is Pittsburgh versus how good is Houston? Because it's too early in the year to tell like which way for either direction. I think we were kind of like arguing whether Pittsburgh was kind of still in contention with the AFC North, with that still being up in question. But I like how D'Amico Ryan has his team playing every week. CJ Stroud looks unbelievable. The pace of the game, kind of like what Barr said, like it seems like he has the pace under wraps, like he's ready for prime time. And when you look at how they're winning these games, it's like they shut out Pittsburgh for 3 quarters. I mean, it's just they were like dominant from like beginning to end. Excluding the first couple snaps after the second half, and that's just it's just utter dominance. I mean, I would have expected Tomlin to manhandle from a coaching perspective, a rookie coach, but No spotlight is too big for him. And I just think that, when you look through the schedule, like they're going to have a difficult time for the schedule, but I think they could hang with a lot of these teams, and the AFC South's wide open still.
That's all
Yeah,
you
I'm
can ask.
Kind of getting a little bit. I'll kind of add a little bit about what he just said. Yeah, I mean, like you got a quarterback who's looking for real in C.J. Stroud. You got a coach in D'Amico Ryans who's really hyping up the boys, getting them ready to play. And like, yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting team to watch. I mean, I think they're still not a huge fan of their receiving core, but their receivers are making plays. Nico Collins going off. You still got Robert Woods. You got Damian Pierce who can
Robert
run
Woods
the ball.
sleeper.
Devin Singletary too. So they're gonna hang around the games definitely. What I think is really the most surprising though is that you have a Mike Tomlin coach team and a Terrell Austin coach defense give up 30 points to Houston. That was pretty surprising. That was even more surprising than their offense, in my opinion. The defense playing that bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to tell about really what this game was. I don't think Pittsburgh's that bad, and I don't think Houston's that good. So I think you're gonna see it now.
They could very easily win the next 5 or 6 games. I mean, outside of Cincinnati on November 12th, they could easily run the table. And Cincinnati, we'll talk about them later because I have a whole fucking segment for that.
You're talking about Houston, right? Or Texas?
Yeah, Houston. Yep.
Yeah, they could beat New Orleans. They could beat Carolina. Tampa's winnable. Cincinnati's winnable. Arizona's winnable. Jacksonville's winnable. Even the Broncos and Jets. So yeah, they're going to be in a lot of games, definitely.
They were a team worth betting the over. If you did,
nobody thought
bets.
C.J. Stroud was going to be this good. C.J. Stroud's looking like If C.J. Stroud keeps playing like this, they're going to win a hell of a lot of games. They may even make the playoffs. C.J. Stroud keeps playing like this. Like he's been awesome. Like he's not just been good. He has been awesome.
No,
barring injury,
doubt.
he should be. He should be like
really good. I mean, of the year. I think Puka Nacua is still the rookie of the year in my opinion. He's arguably done a little bit more than Stroud has, but that's just my opinion. But either one will be a good choice.
We will see how it is still week 4, so we will see how this all unfolds. The Ravens and the Browns played. Deshaun Watson was out. Lamar Jackson scored 4 touchdowns. The Browns had no choice, it seemed, and the Ravens got a nice victory on the road. Lamar Jackson was debated last week. After this game, anyone want to defend their points? Is Lamar good? Do we think he's a good pocket passer now? He's running 100%. All over the place.
Yeah. I've always said I thought Lamar Jackson as a passer is very, very much better than people give him credit. I actually think he's pretty good.
No way. No, they needed to win this game. We said it from the outset last week on the show. I thought it was definitely a statement game to keep them back in contention, but I'm still not sold on Lamar. I thought that he's still more talented and more valuable on the ground than he is through the air, and I just don't think he can sustain that with the amount of hits that he takes with this offense. So
really, even after you saw him through 4 touchdowns, I mean that's I think I can understand what you're saying. I could understand what you're saying, but like to me personally, like I do feel like his arm is really I threw 2 in the air and 2 in the air and 2 in the ground. So, but I feel like his arm I definitely feel like is definitely pretty underrated. I mean he's completing 75% of his passes right now. He's a 64% all-time completion percentage.
The biggest thing that goes unnoticed is the presence of Mark Andrews, because we never give him credit and put him in the conversation with the other tight ends, but he's definitely worth his salt.
Kelsey and Kittle, in my opinion.
Well, it's particularly when teams scheme and game plan for teams. Like he's a game changer in that regard because he really stretches the field unlike any other.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and like I do think Lamar's arm is also underrated. I just love the whole John Harbaugh system. Love Baltimore. I think they're going to keep winning games. Just keep running what they're doing. They're always going to be in the mix. But Lamar does not get enough credit at the end of the day. Zay Flowers, another player who, granted, if Stroud and Puka weren't having these good of years, could have also be arguably, love the cat, could have arguably be eligible player for Rookie of the Year. I really like Zay Flowers. I like this team. Like Mark Andrews. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Again, I hate both of these teams. They're both. I hate them both. But I did say that their run game wouldn't suffer too much. Their run game is actually still pretty efficient. Lamar Jackson had some pretty good passes, 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 on the ground. Zay Flowers is looking real nice. Mark Andrews, like we said, that him not being there is really big. I agree with Hayden. Definitely top 3 tight end in the league right now. You got a game plan around Mark Andrews. He's a tight end that can catch it like a receiver, but still can block. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to kind of like you got to plan for this team. They on paper they may not look the scariest, but then you got Patrick Queen and fucking Roquan Smith on defense. They're a great duo. So, this team's got it. This team's pretty good. The Browns just did not show up at all. They didn't have Deshaun Watson, to be fair, but it is what it is.
He got stuck in the massage parlor.
Yeah. Wait, and what happened with it? Because like there's like late rollouts. Like I know, like I'm just saying, like fantasy perspective, he got rolled out at like 12:30, 12:45. Like that's unheard of.
Yeah,
that wasn't fair.
Like, yeah, like usually,
like Amari Cooper is your number 1 receiver. He got 16 yards. Like, come on.
I really think it was unexpected. I really think for them to roll him out that late, they really were banking on him playing. And then you have to put in a backup.
Yeah, they had no game plan whatsoever. So
none.
It shows
0, negative.
And
they were like, "Yeah, we can take this L. We won't take this L today."
I was kind of surprised because Dorian Thompson, he actually played well replacing Deshaun last year, but again, I think whether it was just underprepared or whatever, it clearly was a mess. And I want to talk about more teams that are messes. And Alex Ranelio, you can add on to this with the Titans defeating the Bengals by a score of 27-3. Bengals had a bad loss, a horrendous game by Cincy. They are now 1-3 to start the season. It seems Joe Burrow's calf injury. It seems that Joe Burrow's calf injury is really holding him back now, and maybe it's time to consider sitting him down a few games to get that fully healed because he is not helping anyone. Jamar Chase is very emotional in the locker room again, and it's pretty bad for Cincy. Mr. Ranelio, you can allow your thoughts to be heard right now.
So I will keep it short and sweet. I know a lot of people had other picks for the AFC, but I stood proudly by Cincinnati saying that even with the injury, they were going to come back and represent the AFC this year. But I'm pretty much getting ready to sign those rights away and get off the bandwagon. I just think that this is chalking up to a lost season with this injury. It's sad to see this team, be in such disarray and be this, ravaged by, just dysfunction. I still believe in the organization and what they've built thus far, but it just seems like they don't have enough in the tank to work around Joe Burrow when he's hobbled on one foot. And it's really unfortunate. I just think it's going to end up being a lost season. I think that they could run this back next year, be the toast of the AFC again. But it's really amazing to see, how crushing it's been for that calf injury with Burrow thus far. And it's not, it's like we put him to like the highest standard because like he went to a Super Bowl so early on and he was, MVP back at LSU, but it's like, he's basically putting up pedestrian numbers. He's putting up like what Daniel Jones would give his left nut for. And it's like, and they don't have anything to show for it. They're 1-3, they're in dysfunction and they have a tough schedule. And I can understand why Jamar Chase is frustrated because he sees that glimmer of hope, that return back to the Super Bowl kind of grasping through his hands. And I think that that's really killing him because of the love he has for Burrow and this team. And it's like, it's hard to kind of put it's hard to put it any more poignant than that. But Tennessee, I still think that they're just another team. I don't believe in them for the remainder of this year, but who knows? It was a good win.
Yeah, no, Joe Burrow, it's been bad. It's been a bad start to the year. I completely think it's the injury. I think he is unbelievable. I think he's gonna have an unbelievable career. But I do disagree with you, Alex, in the sense that I don't think they are out. Baltimore, I don't think, but it hasn't in the past had that kill mentality where they're just going to run away with this division. Pittsburgh, big question mark, and Cleveland, don't know what's going on there too. I think they're going to hang around a lot and can definitely succeed. This team just gets hot at the right time later on in the year. They can make it. I do like the way you said though. Jamar Chase has every right in the world to be frustrated right now. They got to run more plays to get him the ball, set some screens for him, get him the ball in motion, get him some jet sweeps.
He's
Just get his
always
hands on the
open,
ball.
as he says.
Yeah, just let him
And
make plays.
I want to just clarify before you continue, Nico. I'm only saying that I'm selling the stock as them being the representatives of the AFC North and the AFC champions. I still think they could possibly squeeze out this division just because there's still a lot of question marks, particularly with Baltimore. But go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, absolutely. You're right. I just think this is a team that if they make it in January, I think you don't want to see them. They're too scary. Joe Burrow knows how to win games. The chemistry between him, Jamar, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon. Keep feeding Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon will get touches, and I think the team will be better. But for hats off to Tennessee, Derrick Henry's going to get his yards. I want to know what the stat is on Derrick Henry when he has a week like he did last week where he did absolutely nothing to the week after. It seems like he just always dominates that next week. Doesn't matter who it is. He just always seems to be Derrick Henry.
It was a
Tennessee,
return
Ryan
game for
Tannehill.
Let's,
Absolutely. You got to
spoke a
buy
lot
into
about
that system with that
Cincinnati.
offense.
We didn't speak about Tennessee yet. Tennessee, I feel like every year is a sneaky team that nobody ever talks about and wins games every freaking year because they're well coached and well put together.
If they just
they're
had a
gonna be team that
more
probably wins the
influential
division
quarterback
in the
they'd
AFC
be more
South.
interested.
Like they're every year they always hang around, win games. Nobody ever really talks about them. Every year, this is been the same story for the last like 5-6 years. Yet they've represented the AFC in an AFC title game before. They've won divisions. They know how to win. They have a quarterback who's won AFC South titles in Ryan Tannehill. Like you can say what you want, maybe he's aging a little bit, but like the team still wins, plays pretty good behind him. So who knows with them? I think they're a team that people sleep on a lot. So
I mean, yeah, credit to
say much.
Mike Vrabel for that.
Yeah,
I'm not really gonna say much. It's a bad beat for the Bengals too. The Titans just handle business like really well. Derrick Henry throwing a touchdown, running a touchdown. You can't beat that performance. Joe Burrow did not look good at all. And I feel like this team is a shame, to be honest. I feel like they finished fourth in the AFC this year, in the AFC North this year. And I honestly, I don't know. This is a team that basically carried mostly on their offense. Like their defense really ain't that great. And they lost Jesse Bates. That was a big hit. So like you gotta look at it. Like I don't know. I think the Titans won this in typical King Henry fashion. And Ryan Tannehill needed this win, so people don't start sitting here going like, "Get him out of there." But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got on it because hit the Bengals.
The Broncos were down by 21 points, and Denver swarms back. Russell Wilson has 3 touchdowns. They played the Bears, and the Broncos won by a score of 31-28. The Bears couldn't score a touchdown could not score a touchdown after the third quarter, and everything turned to shit for them. But what is new about the Chicago Bears in the Matt Eberflus era? The Broncos save face, but it is clear that they do not have a top defense. They might have top defensive players on it, but they aren't doing much. And they are very lucky to sneak in this victory against a franchise that is even worse than them. And let me say something. Do you think Matt Eberflus gets fired on Thursday night if they lose to the Commanders? I think so. That'll be the first coach axing. Like they are actually closing in on not having to win a football game in an entire calendar year in the NFL.
I think it's too early. I
by the way, I'm saying this also. I should mention this was from a Peter King article that dropped in the middle of this podcast that they're thinking that might be something from an executive. So I should have said that there are rumblings that if they don't win on Thursday, that Eberflus is out.
It's tough. I personally don't think he should be. It's a tough team. The offensive line stinks. All around. Herbert running. They're not running. They're not throwing. Fields. You can say what you want about Fields. I don't think Fields is all the problem either. But you have to win that game. You have to definitely win that game. Especially when you're playing such bad football and you did everything right in that first half, you have to do everything in your power to win that game.
Yes,
Um,
it's a
we're
mess.
going
Their last 14 games. So
speaking of Denver, though, I do want to talk about Denver a little bit. Hayden mentioned earlier in the episode about he said that he likes the Broncos, thinks his team is they're better than people are saying. I completely agree. I think it's a great take. I think that offense is very good. I really like Russell Wilson. Think they have some weapons. Think they will really make a difference. However, they got to figure it out on defense. You allow 28 points to the Bears. The Bears and the Giants. No offense, Matt. But the Bears and the
None
Giants
taken.
shouldn't be scoring more than 20 points on any team.
yeah, Jets too. Jets are offensively challenged.
Yeah, you throw the Jets in there.
Throw the Jets in there, 100%.
But yeah, you got to figure it out. I don't think Sean Payton was expecting this. I think Sean Payton is very shocked at the way because, like Matt mentioned,
I
they
hope
have
we
the
beat Sean
guys.
Payton next week with the Jets and they rub it into his face with Nathaniel Hackett. Oh my God, I can't deal with him beating us. I can't. Sorry. What's going on? That's nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I can't. Those takes before the season are just slowing down. But like what Matt said, like they got guys on defense. They got the names. They're just what's happening.
It's really weird. They're just letting people open on them. It seems like they just give up at times. It's I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know if it's a Sean Payton issue. Maybe I know people were thinking he was really eyeing that Dallas job and getting the Denver was almost the job he got by default. Is his heart really in there? I don't know. Reckon he got paid anyways. So it's a mystery. But at least Russell Wilson's stepping up. And you could at least say that. And it's just very strange. The Broncos were one of the last teams I thought would have a rough start like this.
I really got nothing much to say about this game. It was a weird watch, to be honest. But I do say that Russell Wilson did need this one. Sean Payton too.
Yeah, it was a must win. It was desperation. I think both teams are kind of in the same boat in that regard. I think Denver's really trying to save a lot of face this season because this looks bad not only on Peyton and Wilson but on Elway. Elway's had repeatedly, time and time again, year after year, being kind of the architect to get the quarterback right and still can't get it right. And now he finally has the guy, but doesn't have the combination with the coach. And I think this is going to be a continual kind of mysterious kind of science experiment, seeing this this fusion together as the season progresses. But like like Matt said, like it just seems like there's periods when I watch them where they just look like they're out of it. Like they don't know their defensive roles. They don't know where they're supposed to be, and then they have brilliance on offense for little peaks and glimmers. And it's like that's the Russell I remember in Seattle, or that's the guy I remember in this city or that city. And it's like you just put it together. Just put it together.
That's all you can do.
Make a lot of good time throws.
The Bucs played the Saints in a game that I thought Baker Mayfield had 100% of time of possession. That it seems the Bucs never left the field on offense. Baker has another 3-touchdown game. Though they lose Mike Evans to a hamstring injury, the Bucs get back into their winning ways. The Saints seem like they may have rushed Derek Carr a little too fast. He was not looking good whatsoever. And they should have started Jameis Winston. He got in the game eventually, but it was too late from there. What's the bigger story you got out of it?
Derek Carr. The Saints rushing Derek Carr back, pretty much.
God, that's your biggest story.
And on top of that, Mike Evans is going down. That's gonna be big for that Buccaneers team. They still got Chris Godwin, but that's gonna be big for them.
You didn't talk about Baker Mayfield's career renaissance with Tampa Bay. I mean, the guy looks phenomenal. He's the guys love playing for him. They love his moxie. They could easily win the NFC South with him as.
We will see. We will see. Way too early. Way too early. Baker.
No, I mean they love playing for him.
Baker's a bust, in my opinion.
He's giving them confidence. I don't agree with you on that. I think the main story should have been from this game is Baker Mayfield's
Yeah, no. I
bet Baker was so good. Why the Jets ain't go for him?
That being said, I mean, Derek Carr is probably too hurt to play, but I mean, it was just surprising they really dominated that game versus Saints, who I honestly picked. I want to say I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. Actually, I think it was a surprise team. So I was.
Yeah, I think you did.
I actually was. Yeah, I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl. So I was very surprised by that. But I'm not changing my tune. But it's very it's very surprising to see how well Baker Mayfield's playing. And it's nice to see, considering he got kind of shown the boot in Cleveland for. I honestly think he actually played okay. He won them a playoff game in Cleveland. I think he was kind of prematurely shown the boot there a little bit, but
Yeah,
nice to see that he's kind of showing some rebirth and signs of life in Tampa.
absolutely. He brought some swagger, brought some moxie to this team, like you mentioned. That needed that. They needed that energy. Needed a guy like there to come over and yeah. But you need it after. I'm just saying, like you need someone like that to like fire them up after Brady. 100% agree.
To volt their like put a lightning strike in them.
Yeah, that's it. Like you want to play for them. The whole team buys
you want
in.
to play for Baker. I'm not saying you have to love Baker, but he's a guy you want to play for him. Like he's kind of arrogant. He's kind of fiery. Like he's not so much a leader in that he says the right things. He's a leader in that how he behaves and he gets the guys going. Like he's got that.
Charismatic.
He does have that redeeming quality. He has that charisma and that redeeming quality.
He's that type. He's the exact guy that if he's on your team, you absolutely love him. Will fight for him. But if you play against him,
you hate him.
Hate him.
He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys.
But speaking with the Saints, I was very happy. I was very upset obviously with the performance, and I think it all was on Derek Carr getting rushed back. I like how Kamara came back, got right involved back in the offense, especially in the passing game. He gave him 13 receptions, I believe.
You give up 3 touchdowns to Baker, like you're supposed to be like a great defense. Like,
it's bad.
Supposedly a good defense.
Yeah, supposedly. It actually is a pretty good defense. You just had a bad game.
Yeah,
Saints also had the return of Alvin Kamara too, who was okay. Seems like all he was getting touches.
Yeah, he just tried to give him the ball, let him go to work. I was very disappointed. The Saints were my preseason pick to win the NFC South.
Yeah, so they were my pick to go to the Super Bowl.
And I'm very disappointed. I really would have liked Jameis Winston to start this game and play this game. And versus Tampa Bay too, versus former team. I really love that at home. Just putting Derek Carr out there, I think was the main reason. Not obviously Baker Mayfield's performance was the main reason, but Derek Carr out there rushed was just added insult to injury.
Literally. So I'm going to talk about this game. I'm looking forward to talk about it with this crew, especially you, Alex Ranelio. And I'm sure my texts during the week proved that. But the Chargers defeated the Raiders by a score of 24-17. No Jimmy G. He was popular in the preseason. Hayden O'Connell. He comes in from Purdue. And, imagine your first NFL game and you get sacked by Khalil Mack 6 times alone. And then he had another one. But the man did keep his composure. He kept himself in there, and I got a lot of respect for the dude. Herbert played a good game, too. But the Raiders had a banged-up Devontae Adams. I see Jared Tillery fighting the entire Chargers the entire Chargers sideline. That was intense. It's not looking good. It seems like the Raiders are not disciplined whatsoever. And they're even getting grappled on the field. I mean, literally, I saw a wrestling move. I mean, what is happening? The disrespect for the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels has to go, my guy. And I'm sure you are aware of that. And even with Brandon Staley, the gambler, he's a straight-up gambler with these games. He continues the risky play calling, going on 4th and 1 with 3.5 minutes to go on the Raiders 45. He decides to go for it. He fails, and ultimately the defense saves his ass. Asante Samuel Jr. with the pick. And Chargers win. Staley's going to keep his job. But this game in particular, and we also, that viral video I showed of Raider fans doing blow in the stadium, everyone's had enough. And I feel like this particular game for the Raiders fan base really is the epitome of what has happened in the last 5 years. Like, I really think that was a winnable game that they just could not capitalize on.
Well, yeah, I mean, because McDaniels, for one thing, is a fake coach. He has no business being there. Had no business being hired there. It was.
They should have hired Bieniemy. That's who they should have hired.
Well, it was borne out in his short time in Denver, where Tebow saved his ass. So, my anger frustrates to serial killer level every week. We're watching this team. I really they have no. There shouldn't even have been a 1 touchdown game when you look at the stats. I mean, it was utterly dominated from the Chargers, who, by the way, didn't really play a great offensive game either. They just were able to control all 3 phases of the game. But this team is in disarray. It's already early, but it's looking dismal, and I can't boot McDaniels fast enough, and I can't boo Mark Davis fast enough because he's literally running this team into the fucking ground. If you're going to tell me that the only reason you left Oakland was to get this stadium built, well, congratulations, because you're not winning any fucking games.
Yeah, it's
PU.
It's a rough go there. Yeah. That's all you can say.
I need a keep up, motherfucker.
That was
that's
insane.
exactly.
That was by far the craziest thing, and I've not seen it really go that viral. Maybe because they're straight up doing illegal drugs in the stadium.
Get home. Get at home. Don't do drugs.
I mean, what is NFL security? Is there such a thing? They were able to somehow sneak that in.
Yeah, sugar baby.
I guess so. That's what they have to say to the prosecutors. It's just sugar.
That was the most Raider thing I've seen all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
sugar burger.
Exactly the most Raider thing. But speaking on the other side of things, the Chargers. Chargers were my pick to win the AFC this year, and I don't know what they have to do. They just let teams hang around. Like, this should have been a game where you won by 3+ scores. It's a 1-possession game versus first the quarterback making his debut start. You have Khalil Mack playing the Raiders. It's tough. You can't let these teams hang around. You have to have that cutthroat mentality. It hurt them last year when they obviously got eliminated versus Jacksonville. I don't know if it's a Justin Herbert thing or if it's a Staley thing, but you have to get this instinct where you just can't let teams hang around, because you let teams hang around, Asante Samuel doesn't make that play, the Raiders can win that game. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You just got to figure it out, because you have the talent. You have Joey Bosa, you have Khalil Mack off the edge, Derwin James, like your secondary. It's not the same as Junior. You have all these athletes all over the field, and you just can't put you beat the Raiders hang around in a 1-possession game in the fourth quarter with a chance to win. Like, what are we doing, Staley? What are we doing? And what are we doing? We got to figure it out.
He's Joe and you. He just always gets away with it.
I agree with Nico. Like, if Asante doesn't make that play, that's a different ball game. Like literally, like, so the Raiders were like not out of the game the whole time, but it was just a good win by the Chargers, to be honest.
I love it. I loved it. I loved that, watching that one in particular. And then I love seeing the New England Patriots getting their ass handed to them in Jerry World. The Cowboys
did it. Yeah, I agree.
Cowboys win by a score of 30-3 in the literal worst loss of his career. Bill Belichick has a nightmare scenario. Mac Jones got benched in the game, and they lose their number 1 pick in Christian Gonzalez. Not good for the Patriots. What are you going to do now if you're Bill? Go to Nantucket.
They just got to play it.
I'm retiring.
I think you got to play. I mean, to be fair, like, who do they have? Like, on offensively?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they have
Stevenson?
no.
I don't like
Matthew Judon, and also just on defense, Matthew Judon's hurt too, so injury bug is happening. But continue.
No, absolutely. No, Judon being hurt, 100%, but that's going to hurt. But, like, this team just doesn't have anybody. They don't have one explosive player on the team that you think is going to make this team great.
Yeah, Juju isn't the thing.
Yeah, he's not.
Gesicki is a shell of his former self.
Yeah,
Ezekiel Elliott is honestly the worst off-season signing. There you go. You said, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off, Nico, but I know Hayden said something about Dalvin Cook and someone else.
Darren Waller.
Yeah,
Darren
Waller. Ezekiel Elliott is worse.
Dalvin Cook is averaging like 2 yards a carry.
Yeah, that was rough too. And I was a Dalvin Cook guy.
Ezekiel Elliott's averaging 2.7.
Oh, well. It didn't make sense, but you got to get a guy in. This team it might be to the point that you just do a full rebuild. Like, I know after the Brady era, they tried to stay competitive, did everything they can get in this team, but maybe you just got to do a complete rebuild. You're in the process of it. You kind of half-assed the rebuild. I think you got to go all out and just let's do it. Like, I'm not saying tank. I hate using that word, but maybe Mac Jones, I don't personally believe is the guy. If you think he is the guy, get him weapons then, because he has
Yeah.
nobody to throw to.
Or at least
Slow and nobody to throw to.
you
And
have to at
dirty.
least try starting. I mean, my God, Zappy already won the locker room. He
Exactly.
already won the locker room last year when he had him. And, you know, like you said, embrace full rebuild, because the reality is this division's way better than you. And it's like, no, like everybody in this division's better and only getting better. And the reality is that they're predictable on offense. They're not good enough on defense to stop anybody. And that's Bill's calling card. So it's just, it looks like it's time, honestly. And I think that as the season progresses, you're going to see Bill try to save face and try to salvage this thing. But it's just his time to go. We said in the preseason game, the preseason episode, that when we made our picks, that the only way that he's going to be able to inspire and kind of successfully hand the baton pass off is if he starts bringing in the former Patriot guys to kind of galvanize this young team. But he can't do it. It's just it's so weird. He's so stuck in his ways.
That's it. And I like they're trying to play what San Francisco does, trying to get the ball just with the athletes. Like just throw passes, let the athletes do anything. You don't have the athletes to do it. Belichick, it has to be frustrated. I don't know what besides what Leon just said, that you just got to go full tank. You got to stop half-assing it. I think it's time to go full tank, full rebuild this whole entire team.
In the meantime, the remainder of the season, you have to at least try starting Zappy, because you know what you're getting from Mac Jones at this point. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah, I do think Bill is going to be coaching still for a very long time. He's 71 years old. I think he's done 48 professional seasons.
No, dude. He's because he could have taken. Here's the thing. My only pushback, Matt, before you move on, he could have taken that San Diego job when it was open a couple years ago. He didn't want to do it. He's going to finish in New England.
No, most definitely. I'm just saying he's there as long as he wants to be there. Most definitely, he's not leaving to go somewhere else. And Kraft gave him the keys. So you think Robert Kraft would fire him?
No, Kraft gave Brady the keys. He gave Brady the keys, and when Brady left, he had a lot of internal friction starting to happen. But now that they're not winning, the wheels are gonna start coming off. I don't think that he's gonna let him live out the season, honestly.
You really think Robert Kraft would fire Bill
very
Belichick in the middle of his season?
I mean,
that'd be NFL history right there.
Warranted. It's kind of warranted, to be honest with you, though.
Let me explain. I think right now they're trying to treaty some kind of peace agreement behind closed doors to make this work through the rest of the season and ride it out. But I think that he's getting ready to let Bill go after this year.
It's there.
Interesting. I mean, it does make sense, especially fundamentally.
It makes a lot of sense. If they tank out this year, it could make some sense.
They can't, because the thing with Boston as a market, can't go on losing this long. It just can't happen.
All right, it'd be definitely interesting to see that could get its own pod. The Bill Belichick actually getting fired, but we'll wait to cross the bridge when we get there. And the final,
it's not the craziest thing for how badly they've ruined Mac Jones. It's really not. It's not the craziest.
I think it's the most insane thing ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I think it's absolutely.
I would not be surprised if something were to happen.
As a Syracuse basketball fan, I can kind of relate to Jim Boeheim. Past couple years, it was time for him to go, but like you can't fire. You don't fire somebody like that.
Yeah.
They fired Tom Landry.
That was a different time when people had balls.
Yeah,
now people are too loyal. Robert Kraft, 82 years old. We will see.
Listen, I'd be shocked if they fired him. But like, it's crazy things.
Well, what I'm saying is they're trying to do this peacefully and civilly. I think they're trying to get these places and these plans in place before the end of the season. And and again, you made a great point, Matt, like highlighting that Kraft is 82. I think he's looking to start handing the keys off on the way that Stephen Jones is trying to inherit it from Jerry. So.
Right. Definitely great points. We'll see where it ultimately leads. And the final game to discuss is the San Francisco 49ers taking care of the Arizona Cardinals by a score of 35-16. We just know that San Francisco's going to just coast to the playoffs. Let's be real. They have everything working for them. And Brock Purdy is also looking like he is a legit quarterback in this league too. Christian McCaffrey, as long as he's healthy, we're seeing this Hall of Famer not being stopped. And the defense just straight up eats up people. Cards are still rebuilding. They didn't compete as well as they had in the first 3 weeks, which I think really proves something with the 49ers, that if the Cards were able to make the AFC East pretty competitive, and then they play the 49ers and they aren't competitive, I think that shows that the 49ers may be a little bit leveling up to the other teams. We'll ultimately see where that goes. But again, I just seen the 49ers just rocking and rolling until this week will definitely be a test against Dallas. But they're very interesting, and they're just arguably the best team in the league. I mean, I can't really think
I
of
think
one
they are the
weakness.
best team in the league. No, I can't
and I
either.
kind of gotta agree with you on that one. Yeah, they allowed 16 points, but it's 16 points. Christian McCaffrey's a god every time he gets on the football field. Brandon Ayuk is really fucking scary. 141 yards, 6 receptions, no touchdowns. Fuck if he scored a touchdown. That shit in itself is scary in itself. Like, he's like a number 2. Like, I think he's like supposed to be their number 2 receiver. He's playing like their number 1. Debo was
I think
literally
he is the
non-existent.
wide receiver number 1 now.
Oh, he is now?
Well, he's his number 1 target.
Congratulations.
But continuing.
Congratulations to him, because he's playing like he deserves that shit. Like, literally, like Ayuk is like opening the field, striding, ripping and running. Like, aside from his 141 yards receiving, let's say he didn't do that. They basically killed the game with McCaffrey himself. Like, 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. McCaffrey ran it up. Can't really say much for the Cardinals. Good game, Josh Dobbs. That's pretty much it. Like, Brock Purdy, like, I was watching, because I didn't watch this game live. I was watching the highlights. Man, that was probably the most efficient quarterback play all week. Missed 1 pass, like, legitimately. Like, I'm watching the game. I'm like, man, Brock Purdy ain't all that. He ain't all that. Then he keeps going, not missing. I'm like, shit, Purdy actually might have something going on for him.
Yeah.
So I changed my take.
I agree. I agree with what you said. I think Purdy does have something. Just get the ball in the hands of the playmakers, let them make plays. Piggyback what Matt said as well. This team just does not have a weakness. I don't know who beats this team other than Philadelphia. I don't see. I don't know if I'm biased. Like, I'm not even a San Francisco fan or anything. I just think this is the most complete team I've seen in recent years. If Purdy just doesn't turn the ball over, he's a smart quarterback. He knows how to manage time. He knows exactly what to throw. He's not going to force any jump balls or crazy passes. He keeps this up. I don't know who beats this team besides Philadelphia. I really don't.
I will say the one weakest point, but it's not even that weak. Like, it's not like a glaring discrepancy, but their weakest point is probably their secondary. That's pretty much it.
No, you guys are missing it. Their biggest, Nicho, you said what the only way that they lose these games. I got one guy, and his name is Kyle Shanahan, and I just think that when it comes money's on the line in the playoffs, it's yet to be seen. I'm still waiting for it. Other than that, I have no reservations with this team. They're complete top to bottom, but I need to see Shanahan close the deal in a big fucking game.
No, it's a great take. I think Shanahan is a great coach, but like you said, can't win the big game. Can't win the big game. You're right. You need to have that dog in you when it comes to the playoffs in late January. But yeah, McCaffrey, unreal performance. Arizona, I still very impressed off their start this year. Basically being in every game besides this past week. Obviously beating Dallas the week before. I just think Arizona is the worst team in football. I give them a lot of credit for somewhat competing in these games. But when you're playing a team like San Francisco, they're going to play Philadelphia in a couple weeks, they're just not going to stand any chance for teams like this. Arizona is going to keep making some games competitive. I will see that throughout the year, but I would not be surprised if the win total 4.5 under still stays true.
And I got to give it to the Cardinals because, like, I don't know if they're necessarily tanking, but you got to give respect to a team that, you know, that they, even they know they're not that great, but they come out and ball every fucking week. Like, you got to kind of give it to them. Minus that, like, you know, so it is what it is.
Agreed.
Let's make these week 5 picks right here, right now, starting with Thursday night. We have excuse me. Thursday night, we have the Chicago Bears going to Washington. 0-4 Bears, the 2-2 Washington Commanders. Washington open up at -5.5. Give me Washington in the points, taking care of the Bears mightily as they keep collapsing. And then we will see on Friday that Matt Eberflus is no more, which is insane. In the first 5 weeks, you lose your defensive coordinator and head coach. No culture.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, but I do think Washington wins this game. However, I do like Chicago +5.5. From a betting standpoint, I do think they're going to keep this game close. Washington coming off an absolute heartbreaker. Same thing with Chicago. Both teams actually coming off massive heartbreakers on Sunday. I just really think this is going to be a field goal game. Justin Fields has this confidence now, I'm thinking, after last week, where he thinks he can ball out a little bit. And I could see this game being a final score of 20-17 Washington.
I got it 38-31. I think a 38-31
We got a lot of points.
Washington. I got Washington balling out on the Bears. I think this is the game where people are like, okay, this team might. I know it's the Bears, but I feel like they actually do something. So,
Well, considering the Bears have given up 20 points, and I want to say like 15 straight games, 20 more points in 15 straight games, or something crazy like that. I'm gonna go with like a 28. I'll go with like a 28-27 game with Washington hitting the game when he kicked to win the game.
24-17 Chicago.
Back in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo opening at -5.5. Give me Buffalo in the points on this one as well.
I'll take Buffalo in the points too. I think that Jacksonville tries to make it a close game, or like, it seems like it's going to be, and then the Bulls kind of pull away like 35-27.
Yeah, I like Buffalo in this game as well. I like the over in this game in particular. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The only thing that can play a big factor, Jacksonville's kind of used to the time difference now. They kind of became accustomed to what's going on in Europe. They're prepared. They're having their
They have another
croissants.
London game. Buffalo is another London. I mean, Jacksonville is another London game.
That's right.
It's Jacksonville, London, correct?
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's possible. That's possible. You can get 2 in a year.
Money.
I don't like college- I don't like
And then we
college
got a Germany
back-to-back.
game too this year.
Yeah, I don't like how it's back-to-back. That's the only thing that I'm worried about with the Bills is Jacksonville, like that time difference. Alex mentioned it earlier. It's hard to go overseas and play a game.
Yeah, they have back-to-back.
and-
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
so
bad for their fans because they lose 2 home games. Or they lose. Yeah.
but they're the number one fan base in London, but still,
Yeah,
they
it's
can't
still
be down
really
anymore.
bad for their fan base and like the
Jacksonville, 100%.
you're paying for
100%
season
agree.
tickets and losing a game.
But their
Yeah.
owners still.
Yeah, I think I do got Buffalo in a high-scoring game. Final score, I'd say like a 35-27. I really do think it's a shootout.
All right.
I'm
So-
right. I'm actually, I'm right there too. I had 35-28 originally. I think it's going to be a shootout as well.
So Tennessee is going to Indy. The spread is even. So pick them, guys. Who you got? I'm going to go with Indianapolis on this one.
I'm taking Tennessee in this one. I'm taking Tennessee with
Tennessee.
the spread and the points.
I'm taking Tennessee 24-21.
Indianapolis. Tennessee never wins 2 in a row.
I agree with Alex here. I like the Colts. I like the Colts at home this game. This is another game sneaky from my betting standpoint. I also like the over in this game. I think this is going to be a sneaky one, like a 28-21 or a 28-24 Colts final.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, indeed. So we have the New Orleans Saints going to New England, where New England is opening at -1.5. Give me the Saints getting the upset and the points.
I'll take that. I'll take that too. I see another low score. I see a low scoring game on this one, honestly. So I see the Saints taking this one probably like 17-9.
I like the Patriots. I don't think it's. I think it's a weird thing to say this early in the year, but this might be a must win for them. With that division,
Judon is out.
You don't have a lot of easy games left. 1-3. The Saints, not that they're a weak opponent, I think they're a mediocre team, but I think this is a game you have to win, and I think Bill Belichick knows that. I do think they get the job done, and this is another game, and I'm usually not an over guy, but I like the over in this game as well.
Yeah, I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over in this game as well. I'll take
agree.
New England in this game.
I honestly, with
20.
Judon out, Judon's a linchpin to that defense, so I can't just rule the Patriots taking this one.
My bet in this game, most likely Patriots team total is 20.5. I think 20.5 is a great number, and I think that over hits fairly.
So no, no, that's fair. No, I have Patriots in the over as well. But my caveat is I think they're going to start Zappy. If not, he's going to come out in the second half.
And we'll see what they do with Carr. At this moment, looking at the injury report, we have Derek Carr not listed at all. So I don't know. We will see. So expect him to start then, and I think that makes a big difference. Okay.
I do think I'm sorry. I want to say just one more thing about that Patriots game. The only with Hayden with the Jets too. I think this is a Zach Wilson type feel where all the pressure's on you. You gotta ball out. We saw Zach Wilson do it last week. I hope we see Mac Jones do it this week. That's my opinion.
And any worried about the missing players for the Patriots in this?
Definitely on defense, it's gonna hurt. Is Judon? He's officially out? I believe.
Yes, officially out.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah,
and Christian Gonzalez at this moment is doubtful.
Yeah, and Mac Jones is going to have to score in order to keep up. I think the Saints are actually going to have a good offensive game, but yeah, I think Mac Jones is going to have a similar vibe to what Zach Wilson just did on Sunday night.
Okay.
And to be honest, I'm probably lowballing the Saints. I want to say 24, but I really feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Me too.
So we have a rivalry game in the Baltimore Ravens going to Pittsburgh, and Baltimore's opening at -3.5. Give me Baltimore and the points on this one, and as long as Matt Canada is in there and making you run drives making you pass at 4th and 1 or whatever you want to do with that, give me Baltimore continuing on with some momentum.
I'm going to take the Steelers 23-21. It's those are, like you said, those are tough divisional games. And the Steelers are really good at home. So I'm going to give it to the Steelers on that one, 23-21. Very close. Yeah, just a close-ass game. Probably win it with a field goal.
Take Baltimore game. The points spread.
I like the Steelers getting 3.5. I think they win this game outright, in my opinion. Big Mitchell Trubisky guy. I think Mitchell Trubisky is gonna.
Kenny's not out.
Kenny, isn't he out? Is he doubtful though?
I'll confirm that in one moment.
They're like
Kenny Pickett is questionable at this moment.
I think the other thing I will say, like I like the Steelers in this game. Mike Tomlin said last week that some changes are going to be made. I trust Mike Tomlin, and I think he's definitely going to make the proper changes needed to take Matt Canada's hands off this offense and let them go to work and see what they can do.
Bro,
I got Baltimore winning tight, so I'm not going to have them cover. But no, I think Baltimore's on a roll. I just have grave concerns about their ceiling, where they're going to end up at the end of the season. That's all.
All right. Houston is going to Atlanta. Atlanta opening at -2. I think Houston gets this upset and give those points to them.
Oh, I love
28-17.
I love Houston in the upset.
Houston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easy spread at just +2.
Yeah, +2. Oh my God.
Could be a lock.
That's a blowout. I think it's going to be somewhere around a 30 to 20 game.
Not even worried about them being on the road.
I really don't
not,
like.
not at all.
Yeah, I really don't like a side in this game. I don't know who I take. I do like the under though. I do think it's going to be a slower played game. And if I had to say it, I guess I'd say Atlanta at home maybe. But I really don't like a side in this game.
I see. So, Hayden,
Sorry, what was the game?
we have Atlanta and
Texans, Falcons.
Houston.
Oh,
Atlanta opening at -2.
I'll take Houston in this game with the points in the spread. I'll go
Carolina,
like 30 to 23.
Carolina's 0-4. They're playing the 3-1 Detroit Lions. Detroit opening at a big margin of -9.5.
Oof.
I got the Lions taking this 38-24. I'm giving the Panthers a bit more points than I think I should, but yeah, blowout.
I'll take the Lions 31-20.
Yeah,
No, I got. Wait, I think you guys are missing this. I think Detroit's going to win, but they're not going to cover. I think 9.5 is way too much. We said in the earlier part of this show that they've been keeping all these games close and making incremental progress. I think they're going to be right there neck and neck. It's going to be a one-score game. I think it'll be like 31-23.
I think the Lions win this game fairly easily. I think in dominant fashion. That's my take. I just really like this Lions team this week. Carolina, don't know what they are. 27-7.
Yeah, I think Detroit's gonna be able to cover that steep spread. And speaking of steep spreads, we have the New York Giants going to Miami, and Miami is opening at -11. And it pains me to say I will take Miami in the points on this one. With those speedy receivers, the Giants defense is not going to stand a chance. They're going to score all over them. If Daniel Jones continues to play conservatively, we're not going anywhere. You have more options than Wan'Dale Robinson. This is going to be ugly. It could be another embarrassing loss. Again, clearly using my head over my heart on this one, but give Miami and the risky spread at -11.
Yeah, I think
listen.
I completely agree with Matt. I think I just think the best thing the Giants can do is leave their plane at Newark. Just keep it there and don't even fly down.
Like legitimately, and
I actually think this is a game the Giants are going to cover the spread. I think it's going to be a close game. I do. I think it's going to be like a 27-20 game. Giants going to keep close all game.
I think the Dolphins are going to scrape it off.
This is a game everyone's counting the Giants out, but I think the Giants going to get close.
I think the Dolphins are going to scrape y'all. I mean, like straight up, like gum under a table scrape, like 45-9. I think the only points y'all score are field goals. 45-9. It sounds crazy, but the only points I think y'all score.
I'm kind of closer to bars in this regard because we're talking about how the Giants are like going to keep it close, but Miami just got embarrassed. They're trying to bust ass this week too. So I think that it's going to be somewhere along the lines of a blowout. Honestly,
35-10.
35-10, fine.
38-10, maybe stick a Sanders field goal in there.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals are going to Arizona, both 1-3. And Cincinnati's opening at -3. I'm going to give Arizona the upset on this one. I think this is going to create major panic in Cincy at 1-4. And they have been able to capitalize. And I think they'll be able to do that against a team that's really in a dangerous place. Give me Arizona.
24-21.
I'll take
24-21 Arizona.
I'll take Cincinnati in this game, 21-18.
That's a great score, Hayden. I really think Vegas is dead on with the spread of 3. I got Cincinnati by exactly a field goal. I'd say like a 17-14 final low score.
I had Cincinnati 2017. I think you guys are both spot on, and so is the spread, and so is Vegas. I just think this is like life. This is season saving for Cincy.
All right. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Philly's only opening
Ooh.
at -4.5.
Yep. I like that spread a lot. I'm gonna be right here, right now. I'm taking the Rams outright. I expect them to make the upset at home.
I also agree with Alex on that one, to be honest. I got it like shit. I want to say 30 I want to say 30 to 27. It won't cover the spread, but like I really feel like the Rams take it field goal.
I have 100% have the Rams in this game. I
You really
also
the Rams in
have
this game over the Eagles. Wow, it's crazy.
I do. It's
You guys are
great.
crazy, but
I have the Rams outright in this game. I think the Eagles defense has allowed some points. And I think Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp possibly playing this week. I think he's probable, maybe, because he's still questionable as of right now.
Yeah.
But I think the Rams will win this game outright.
no, I have the Eagles winning this game. I think it's gonna be a pretty sizable margin too. I have them winning like 31-17, so I don't know.
You don't think McVay can outcoach Sirianni?
No, I
don't think so.
I think Philly's too talented. They're just
They got
more
exposed
talented than the Rams.
They got exposed last week. You give McVay 7 days to prepare. I think he could cook up something to beat them.
I
Yeah,
think
we'll
Sirianni-
see.
We'll see. We'll see. I just think Philly's too talented of a team to.
No, I agree with you, but it's only good for 1 week.
I think Sirianni's the best coach in football. That's my opinion. I think he's unbelievable. But he loses this game in LA.
I'm going to side with Alex and Nicho on this. I do think the Rams pull off the upset. And remember, the Eagles have a weak secondary, and you're going to have allegedly a returning Cooper Kupp and Nuka out there. And Tyler Higbee's actually been playing well as a tight end as well, a little above average season for him.
Tutu Atwell.
It's going to be tough. So give me the Rams. And they will cement themselves.
Come back, they got a two-headed monster. If Kupp come back, they got a two-headed monster.
Here we go. The New York Jets are playing the Denver Broncos at the Mile High City. Denver is opening at -2. Give me the Jets. I think they'll be able to pull off the upset here.
I agree with Matt. Give me the Jets 24-21.
I'm not commenting on this game because I have too much invested in it. So
Nah, you gotta make a pick. You gotta make a pick.
No, I can't. I actually don't want
pick.
to make one because
Make a pick. Make a pick.
I'm
Do it.
No, I'm not
Do
doing it. I'll
Make a
pick
pick,
That
Hayden.
works for everything else.
I'll pick the Jets because I my fandom, not because that's who I think is gonna win, but I'll pick them because of my fandom.
Cool. Thank you.
This is a game where I don't like a side in another one where
If I was a better, I'd tell you to bet the Broncos because the Broncos are coming off a game in which they had a big comeback, and they have Russell Wilson and a Hall of Fame quarterback with a coach who's an offensive mastermind, coming off a comeback victory. All the praise is going to be on Zach Wilson. I think this is a game he comes back down to earth, and I actually would, if I was a better, I would tell you to pick Denver at home.
Yeah, no, that's a good take for the fan. Like, and I appreciate you. I like how you stay true and still rode with the Jets in your pick, though.
But
Just
I'm
so it
taking
makes
the
you
Jets
like you
because
still giving the
my
credit.
fandom. But if I was betting the game, which thank God I'm not, because I don't bet against my team, I would
That's
probably
great
take
then.
Denver.
Yeah, no, I personally, this is another weird game where I think people, it's going to be a sneaky shootout. I think Zach Wilson has confidence going into this week. Obviously, Denver has confidence in the comeback. I think it's going to be like a higher scoring game than people expect, but I have somebody winning this game 27-24. I don't know who it is, but I have somebody winning this game 27-24.
I'm right around 21-20. Jets walk off field goal.
I think this is going to be a 30-27 game. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Actually.
I rescind my pick. I realize, you know what? Living in this area for a long time, when people think the Jets are finally going to overcome, they fall flat on their face. And it's going to happen again here. So I take it back. Give me Denver in the points at -2.
Good bet. Smart. You can never go wrong with history.
Yeah, sorry, bro, on that one. But it's going to be okay. You know, the Chiefs were a joke franchise for 50 years. It took them 50 years to to win a Super Bowl too, and now they're a dynasty. So sports is just so weird like that. But you do have to get the right people in. So I don't know. I'm waiting for the Knicks. And that'll be a story for another day. But we had the Kansas City Chiefs going to Minnesota. No reports of Taylor Swift being there. I mean, you got to admit, if she's going to Minnesota to watch Travis Kelce, she is into him. Or she's really into this publicity. But regardless, we have the Chiefs only opening at -5 against the Minnesota Vikings. And for a team that is not known to cover spreads despite their dominance, I'm going to go with, if I had a gun to my head, give me the Minnesota Vikings +5, but I think the Chiefs will win.
I'm taking the Vikings in this game flat out. Taking Vikings money line. I'm going Vikings are going to win this game 30-23.
Hayden mentioned it. Hayden mentioned it earlier on the show. Mentioned Minnesota, and we were discussing about that. I do like Minnesota +5.5. I do think they win 2 out of the next 3 with this game upcoming against the Chiefs. Then they beat Chicago and they beat San Fran. I think they either beat San Fran or the Chiefs outright, but I do think they covered this game and will cover the game for San Fran. But they're going to win one of them outright. I just don't know if it'll be this week.
I got the Chiefs winning, but they're not covering. I'm somewhere right around 28-24.
I pretty much got a 1-score game too.
2 classic franchises are going at it on Sunday night. The Dallas Cowboys at 3-1. The San Francisco 49ers at 4-0. Let me ask, what do you think the spread is?
San Francisco -3.
Close. San Francisco -4. And give me San Francisco.
I know this. I knew the spread, so I don't know.
That's a reasonable spread.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be able to cover
Give me the 49ers 24-18.
Give me the 49ers 38-35. I think it's a shootout, but the Cowboys lose to a field goal.
Oh, I got a blowout. I got 30-14 San Francisco. I just think they're going to keep it rolling out, and I think Dak's going to be in for a long night.
I
think this is one of my games that I think is going to be one of the better games of the regular season in the NFL. But I do think it's going to be a 24-21 San Francisco final. Odds makers got it right on again.
Vegas never loses. And then Monday night, the Green Bay Packers are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. The Green Bay Packers opening at just -2. Give me the Packers and the points on that one.
Same.
Well, you just said that Vegas never loses unless you're talking about this fucking team.
Yeah, the Vegas Raiders lose.
I'll take Vegas in the points.
I got Green Bay winning by 3. Jordan Love has really proved himself to be like, let's say the Green Bay finds themselves down in like the fourth quarter with Justin Love having like 5 minutes left on the clock. I'm putting my money on Jordan Love. Like legitimately, he's shown me like twice that he can do it. He's that guy over there.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, I kept saying Justin. My fault.
No, this is another game where my favorite play in this game as a bettor is Packers team total over 22.5 points. I think they hit that fairly easily. I could see the Raiders competing and the Raiders getting some points as well, but ultimately I do have the Packers winning and covering this game in Vegas.
I got them winning a low-scoring game, 17-10.
Oh man,
Packers, yep.
You
What
were
do you
born
think?
you were born a couple of decades too early, Alex.
Might as well bend over now.
Oh man, someday we all cheer for loser franchises for some reason. And someday we'll know what it's like again to actually see some champions. But until then, we have to get through week 5 of the NFL season. Week 4 is done. And I can't wait to talk about this once again a week from today. Alex, Nico,
Not as long as you're a
Bars, and
Jets,
Hayden.
Giants, or Raiders fan.
Yes, it's not going to be pretty.
Sorry, I just had to.
But you know what? Let's enjoy it. Have a great weekend, everybody, and kill it out there.